You, the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Daun and Kroot.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. How are you doing, my little buddy, TGIF?
TGIF, I am great. Crudy, Fancy Brian on the board. Happy Friday to us all. Our fair audience, thank you for joining us.
I don't know if you've ever noticed, Dominic, but when I broadcast, I do sort of a wide stance.
It sounds like you're in the Minneapolis airport or something.
Instead of standing up straight and, bringing the, good reference. Instead of standing up straight and bringing the microphone up, I broaden out and I come down to the microphone.
You're getting in a fighting stance.
Well, more like stooping to your level.
Yeah. You got to get a little lower than that, Crudy.
Well, I got some friends in low places, and Dom, we got a fine cast of characters joining us on this big show, including Andrew Seidel, Director of Strategic Response. He is with the Freedom from Religion Foundation. We welcome the constitutional attorney and author of The Founding Myth, again, Andrew Seidel. He's going to join us at 3:05. But in the future, Dom, less resume, man. You know he's a smart guy.
You can read whatever you want, man. It's the same one every time.
And then Maggie Daun. No resume. You give Maggie no qualifications, other than the fact, of course, she's a friend of ours. Maggie Daun is Milwaukee County Corporate Counsel, a fine practicing attorney in her own regard, and a friend of ours, most importantly.
And an award-winning radio broadcaster.
I know, she beat us. We took second. She took first.
Damn it, Maggie.
I'm a little bitter. I'm still
Maggie
bitter.
Needs no introduction. Everybody to know Maggie is to love Maggie.
Maggie got that beautiful crystal trophy. And we got, like a plaque we got to share.
It's like an engraving.
You see what Earl got this year? A certificate. During the pandemic, second place only got you a certificate, apparently.
Tough times, man.
Earl's one, it's been an award-winning broadcaster in his own regard. Earl Ingram follows this fine program. But Dom, we air the grievances around here, and I don't know if I'd call this a troubling headline. I mean, obviously, the terrorist attack in Afghanistan yesterday, that's troubling news. And the death tally, it's gone way, way up. Apparently, about 170 were killed at the airport in Kabul. That's a big number. And Dom, the administration, the Biden administration, is now warning the world, and I think the press, and preparing all of us for the possibility that there could be more deaths. There could be more terrorist attacks before the August 31st, apparently hard deadline comes. And then perhaps the real chaos begins.
No doubt. I mean, yeah, it's a war zone. I mean, I'm pretty sure anyone could, if you could take a test, and do you think that there's a possibility of terrorist attacks in Kabul when we're doing an evacuation? Yes or no? I think majority of people would say yes. That's probably a possibility.
But I'm not sure if they came from the State Department or what department, but the warnings issued yesterday. I mean, they were initially put out on Twitter at like 3:05 a.m. local time in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Stay away from the airports. We've got intel that says there could be an attack. So there was some warning of this prior attack, of this attack that we initially heard killed 13 Americans. But Dom, apparently more intel in the works, or a little CYA, because perhaps this is also predictable. If you had success once, you're going to try and replicate that success. And the Americans, it's a dwindling number of days. Now, President Joe Biden did tell us today, not you and I specifically, but the nation, even in the midst of this terrorist attack yesterday, there were still 12,000 more evacuations that happened from that airport.
Wow. So what? We're up to 115, 116,000 evacuees to date?
That seems correct based on approximate math that we've heard, Dom. Let me read briefly, and we do have some sound from the White House. Jen Psaki, the press secretary. We don't bring a lot of Psaki sound here, but this Friday we're going to do so. But here's the headline. I found this. Caitlin Collins, your pal over at CNN. Did you really give her a pep talk?
I did. She was up at Mosinee. Remember when Trump came to Mosinee?
Oh, I recall.
And hell, I think that was also the very specific rally that he kept everybody there and then cranked up the music to like 96 decibels. I had to download the app so I could take a picture of the sound, how loud it was. It was offensive, of course, because Donald Trump hates the media because the media is critical of his corruptness. Anyway, yes.
Wait, there's a little more to that story. You were flirting not just with Caitlin Collins from CNN, but also Republican nominee Leah Vukmer. I like to call her Nurse Ratchet, but she had specialized for you, fella.
Hey, here we go again. No, I like Caitlin Collins. I think she does a great job in her reporting, and she was also in Mosinee, and we were standing next to each other, and we passed and see a look on her face. And I said, "Hey, Caitlin, how you doing?" And she said, and it made some reference to some social media Twitter grief she was getting, and I basically gave her a short little pep talk. I can't non-FCC compliant, but yeah, I
was it something along the lines of F those guys?
That's exactly,
because every pep talk in my entire life I've ever gotten from you, it's always like F those guys. I mean, best advice you've ever given me. But
it's usually some of the best advice I give. Caitlin Collins, crew, do you got this one?
Why don't you, Dan?
All right, I'll jump up.
Girl.
My pal, Caitlin Collins, reporting CNN a couple hours ago. President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris were warned by their national security team this morning that another terror attack in Kabul is likely, according to White House official who said the U.S. is taking maximum force protection measures at the airport. The U.S. military is airlifting out thousands of people every few hours. They continue to prioritize evacuating the remaining American citizens who have indicated that they wish to leave and are engaged in a variety of means to get them to the airport safely, the official continued. The president directed the Secretary of State to continue diplomatic efforts with international partners to secure means for third country nationals and Afghans with visa to leave the country even after the U.S. military presence ends. The official said U.S. commanders also updated Biden and Harris on plans to develop ISIS-K targets. Quote, the next few days of this mission will be the most dangerous period to date. The president reaffirmed with the commanders his approval of all authorities they need to conduct the operation to protect our troops, and all reported back that they have the resources they believe they need to do so effectively.
Okay, let's hear from the White House. Fancy Brian, going to need your help here. Jen Psaki, press secretary to Joe Biden, played for the people, cut 30. Again, another attack likely, according to the Biden administration.
The national security team the president met with this morning advised the president and vice president that another terror attack in Kabul is likely. And they are taking maximum force protection measures at the Kabul airport and in surrounding areas with our forces as a result.
More from Jen Psaki, the troops, the U.S. troops, obviously, they're still in danger. 31.
The Department of Defense also just gave a briefing this morning, and I will echo some of the descriptions that they offered. The threat is ongoing and it is active. Our troops are still in danger.
As Caitlin Collins reports at CNN, this is the most dangerous part. Here's Jen Psaki saying it at the White House podium, cut 32.
This is the most dangerous part of the mission. This is the retrograde period of the mission. And what that means is that this is the period of time when the military, commanders on the ground, and forces begin to move not just troops home, but also equipment home.
Brian, if we get short on time, let me know, but we're going to keep going down this list. More Jen Psaki. The military is committed. Cut 33, please.
The military made clear to the president that they are committed to continuing this mission, to getting to saving lives, to evacuating more people from the country over the coming days and completing their mission by the 31st.
and the evacuation numbers to decrease. Well, they need to increase. Apparently 12,000, according to Biden, removed just yesterday during the course of this very tragic day. But let's play it for the people. Cut 34, Jen Psaki.
Those numbers will go down in the next couple of days, and you should anticipate that. That is as a result of the retrograde process that needs to take place. But also, I will note that, of course, force protection is front and center and is vital to the mission.
And of course, the question is August 31st a hard deadline? And will all Americans and all the allies we hope to move out of that country be out by then? Here's Psaki's response, 35.
The president did direct the Secretary of State to continue diplomatic efforts with international partners to secure means for third country nationals and Afghans with visas to leave the country even after the U.S. military presence ends.
And that means coordination with the Taliban. Cut 36, please.
A part of that would certainly be having a coordinated approach and engagement with the Taliban, because in order to continue to evacuate any American citizen who was not yet prepared to leave, who wants to leave, third country nationals and Afghans with visas, we will need to coordinate with the Taliban.
And Fancy Brian, let's play the last Jen Psaki bite from the White House. Cut number 38, please.
We don't trust the Taliban. This is not about trust, but there is a reality on the ground. And the reality is the Taliban control large swaths of Afghanistan, including the area surrounding the perimeter of the airport. So by necessity, that is our option to coordinate with to get American citizens out.
Now, Jen Psaki, I saw her briefly in La Crosse, Wisconsin. You know, she passed me on her way to the ice cream parlor.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
They were simpler days than Daun when Joe Biden was stacking his strawberry with the cookies and cream on the sugar cone, I believe.
Well, the good old days.
Yeah. Now we got real foreign problems. And the first really big challenge, not that the pandemic hasn't been a challenge, but Joe Biden's got a really big challenge ahead of him. And the United States does as well. We are the Devil's Advocates. You can be a part of this Friday program. Air your grievances here. 844-967-2789.
Hey! What's this lying around shit?
Fuck that guy.
Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?
Fuck that guy.
Nothing is over until we decide it is.
Fuck that guy.
We've all felt left out. And for people who move to this country, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take care of their kids thanks to the expanded child tax credit passed by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Ron Johnson voted against these checks for Wisconsin families, despite voting for a 2017 tax break that put more money into the pockets of millionaires like himself. It's time to vote Ron Johnson out of office. MoveOn.org political action, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertisement. Poll.moveon.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Hey guys, it's me, Isabella Gomez, filling in for Smokey Bear because he's got more to say than just
only you can prevent wildfires.
Like, if you're outside enjoying a barbecue, don't let a hamburger distract you from fire safety. Make sure you aren't dumping your hot coals or ashes onto the ground because that could start a wildfire. So take wildfire prevention seriously and let's save the world one day at a time. Juntos con Smokey Bear, podemos hacerlo. Go to smokeybear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
I'm not down for voter suppression in my state.
No, right. This. It's got to be easy. It was great to have these options. We should have these options. We should have days off for people to go vote. We should expand the availability, the ease of our own citizens in this country to participate in self-governance. Republicans, why are you so opposed to that?
Because they lose those elections.
Listen to Devil's Advocates weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m.
Hi, it's Olivia Munn with my shelter pets, Frankie and Chance, reminding you that when you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the Humane Society of the United States, and Maddie's Fund.
The Devil's Advocates, so relevant they have 1 foot in tomorrow.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Happy Friday to us all. You can air your grievances with us. Call us 844-967-2789.
Dominic, we'll get to the phones in a moment. I see people starting to line up their grievances, but wanted to play a little of the minority leader, the Republican response on Afghanistan, because everybody's wondering, what's Kevin McCarthy thinking?
What's Kevin thinking?
Fancy Brian, gonna need your help. If you would, please. Cut number 10, play it for the people. Rep. Kevin McCarthy.
Bombers slipped through the Taliban lines. And I think that's the question. We're relying on the Taliban to secure that perimeter. We'll find out if it was avoidable, but it's certainly tragic.
More from Kevin McCarthy. He seems slightly restrained here. You know, I've seen him pile on worse. Cut 11.
This isn't the tested leadership the president promised. It's a picture of weakness and incompetence.
Okay, I take it back. More Kevin McCarthy, the Republican minority leader. Again, the topic Afghanistan and Congress. It better act. Cut 12.
Congress can't sit idle as a separate branch of government while troops are targeted and Americans remain stranded.
What should Congress do? Should Congress get on the Seth Wooten Express and fly over to Afghanistan? Do a photo op, Dom?
Maybe they should, declare war?
Slow down. Redeclare war, because we never declared war in the first place, did we? All we had was like a resolution of force.
Well, there was but there was a vote, right? There was a vote to engage in police action,
sort
right?
of a broad blanket statement that the president could do whatever they wanted to, and presidents have been doing so for the subsequent 21 years
ever since Democrats, Republicans, multiple administrations.
Well, Kevin McCarthy, not only should Congress act, they should act now. Cut 13.
We are a co-equal branch of government. We are elected by our constituents. We have a voice and we should use it.
Well, you're doing so right now. You have the bully pulpit, sir. One more, Rep. Kevin McCarthy, minority leader, Republican. Afghanistan, the topic. Cut 14.
The missed decisions that have put Americans in harm's way and a decision to leave Americans behind. That choice and that answer should never be given as a president of the United States.
Sounds like he's kind of putting words in Biden's mouth, because I don't believe that's what Biden said. In fact, I specifically recall Biden saying that every American who wants to get out will get out. Call me crazy, but it seems contradictory to what we heard the man say himself.
Kevin McCarthy actually had shown some restraint in that. Some of this, he is waiting for resolution. He's waiting until after August 31st. I saw a Hill piece, but I'd rather get to the phones than tell you more about what wrong-headed Kevin McCarthy thinks. 844-967-2789. Just my opinion. Andy, you're hardly ever wrong-headed. Welcome back, Andy from Beaver Dam.
Hey, Andy.
Except when you fall asleep at the switch, fella. Where are you at, Andy? Put you back on hold, Andy. 844-967-2789. Tom from Madison. Are you awake, Tom?
Hey, Tom.
I'm driving, so I guess I should be.
Please stay awake, at least during the duration of this call.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I really don't have a grievance as much as I want more Jen Psaki. I'm a real fan. I mean, it wasn't that long ago we had Sean Spicer and we had Sarah Huckabee Sanders and all of those people who were just lying to us. And now we got Jen Psaki and her sock puppet Ducey, who comes on all the time. It's like watching pro wrestling. He comes on, tries to score a point, and she just wipes the floor with him. And then he tries some follow-ups and wipes the floor with him. And I'm wondering if he's actually on the White House payroll at this point.
Just giving her every opportunity to wipe the floor with them, Tom.
Tom, I think it's a symbiotic relationship. While it plays very well amongst the liberal set, amongst guys like you and I, Tom, Jen Psaki, bitch slapping Ducey, but Ducey's getting a lot of mileage as well over on the right. He's the one guy pushing back, Tom. He's the one guy asking the difficult and and challenging questions of Psaki.
Well, I don't know. We also have, the endless parade of Republicans responding to this crisis by going on Newsmax and telling them exactly what they should do.
Well, that's where no one except their own see them, Tom. Because the American people, all things considered, I think the American people, and nobody wants to see terrorist deaths. I mean, nobody was rooting for this, although I would question whether some Republicans in the back of their minds were hoping something would go desperately wrong with this evacuation. I better end with that thought, Tom, because I'm gonna jump way off this pier.
Thanks for the call, Tom. Appreciate it. 844-967-2789.
Even I occasionally filter myself. Occasionally.
It's so rare. Are you sure? We got like a 90 seconds left, Kurt. Are you sure you don't want to? I don't know. Get it out there in a different form, perhaps.
It's these Republicans, they're so hypocritical. And of course, that's not a strong enough word. Hypocritical, that used to insult people. Like, I am not a hypocrite. Now they're like, I live hypocrite.
So
yeah, I can change my mind. I can change position whenever ideologically, I feel like I need to. And I get the whole thing. When you're the party out of power, you attack the president. But, this whole thing is kind of like rooting against the United States. I feel like Republicans are rooting, for Russia a lot lately, and occasionally the Taliban and, sort of against the United States. And I didn't feel like I, as a Democrat, ever rooted against the nation, not in foreign policy. I didn't want Trump to publicly humiliate our nation by giving a handy in Helsinki, but
there he was.
I was
doing
critical, but I wasn't rooting against the country. I wasn't cheering for Pooty Poot. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates, more of your Friday grievances. Dial them up, 844-967-2789.
We are a co-equal branch of government. We are elected by our constituents. We have a voice and we should use it.
We've got to protect our phony baloney job, gentlemen. We must do something about this immediately.
Well, we're waiting.
Oh, Devil Radio. Good thing I brought my horns.
Chad's Design Build is proud to sponsor the Summer of Love on Devil Radio. We are committed to our community to demand better for each and every person. Doing the right thing isn't necessarily easy or inexpensive, but when we take the time to listen and learn, we can build a better community. Thoughtful remodeling is a lot like building an effective, progressive coalition. It takes patience, intelligence, and love. Experience helps too. Thank you, Joe Biden, and thank you, Devil Radio. On behalf of Chad's Design Build, here's to the Summer of Love.
Do you want Wisconsin to suck? I don't. That's why you're listening to me now. I'm Hawk, owner of the Atomic Koi. Come to the Koi and tell them you're there because the devil sent you. Then I can spend more money on ads and help Devil Radio keep Wisconsin from spiraling into post-apocalyptic Republican suckage. I mean, that's Iowa's job. Buy a round of the Atomic Koi and save Wisconsin one drink at a time.
Suck down drinks so we don't have to suck.
Donahue with an AP News Minute. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says yesterday's suicide bombing outside the Kabul airport could be just the start.
The national security team the president met with this morning advised the president and vice president that another terror attack in Kabul is likely. And they are taking maximum force protection measures at the Kabul airport and in surrounding areas with our forces as a result.
13 U.S. service members were killed, as well as 169 Afghans. Psaki says President Biden meant it when he said,
"We will hunt you down and make you pay."
I think he made clear yesterday that he does not want them to live on the earth anymore.
The United States pressed on into the final days of the chaotic airlift from the Kabul airport. The Pentagon also said there was just one suicide bomber at the airport gate, not two, as U.S. officials initially said. The 13 U.S. service members who died include 10 Marines, a Navy sailor, and an Army soldier. I'm Ed Donahue.
Hey, y'all, this is your girl, Cheryl Underwood, and I want to tell you something. My digestive system used to make me feel sluggish, but those days are over. Now I feel great. That's because I increased my fiber intake with the Metamucil 2-week challenge, and I'm still hooked. I just took Metamucil every day for 14 days, and it's really that easy. Metamucil traps and removes the waste that weighs you down, so you feel lighter and more energetic. Now I never want to go back to that heavy feeling. Are you ready for the Metamucil 2-week challenge? For a coupon and daily support, sign up at metamucil.com today.
According to research, 82% of people will remember radio ads. So 82% of you listening will remember that this is an ad for ZipRecruiter. 82% of you will note that if you're hiring, ZipRecruiter finds qualified people for your job. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And 82% of you will remember that you can try ZipRecruiter for free, but you have to go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Yes, free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. On Thursday, the Wisconsin Department of Health Services reported more than 2,000 new cases of COVID-19 in the state for the second time in the past 3 days. Before this week, Wisconsin had not reported more than 2,000 daily cases since the middle of January, when only frontline medical workers and the highest risk individuals were eligible to receive a COVID-19 vaccine. According to DHS data, 88% of hospital beds in Wisconsin are currently occupied, and more than 92% of intensive care unit beds are currently occupied. Forecast of thunderstorms early in the day with the potential for heavy rain and gusting winds. 80% chance for rain with a projected 1 to 2 inches of rainfall today and a high of 85 degrees. Partly cloudy skies expected tonight with a stray storm possible, overnight low of 73 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Devil's Advocates, radio for nasty women everywhere.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Happy Friday to us all. Tom, appreciate your call. Be like Tom. Call this big show at 844-967-2789. He was mentioning White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, a favorite, especially compared to Spicy and Huckabee, Colonel Huckabee Sanders.
Who was the blonde lady at the end?
McEnany.
Yes.
Well, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki used Fox News reporter, that's like bitch slapping him, Peter Doocy, to send a strong message to the ISIS-K terrorist who slaughtered 13 U.S. service members in a suicide bomb attack that has now killed a total of more than 170 people. Here was the Deucer's question. When the president says he will hunt you down and make you pay, what does that look like? Is he going to order a mission to kill the people responsible, or would he be satisfied if they are captured and prosecuted? And reportedly, here was the response from Jen Psaki. I think he made it clear yesterday that he does not want them to live on the earth anymore.
Yes, that was my impression.
I want him dead. I want his family dead. I want his house burnt to the ground. I want to go to the middle of the night. I want to piss on his ashes.
Is that clear for you, Mr. Deuce?
I think that does the trick. Deucey.
Oh, his daddy must be so proud. It's a family affair over there on the Foxy News.
Oh, that's right. Great. Well, I think Psaki does a fine job handling all those questions, and she has way more credibility, to my mind. And I get it. Anybody working in that job is going to spin and do their job the way they have to. But what we saw with the Trump administration was just terrible. I mean, terrible. 844-967-2789.
Inauguration crowd ever. Period.
Full stop. In a big suit chewing gum. Never do that, Spicy. Come on, man. I know we got some phone callers stacking up, but I want to throw this one out there. Saw the Raw story headline. Former Pence advisor warned in 2020 that Trump was setting up another Benghazi in Afghanistan. This is a Trump advisor, and they link back to the Atlantic. And this is a little bit of a longer piece, not too long, but there's some details in here that are very important. Again, this coming from a Pence advisor, a former Army soldier, my understanding. And here is what Jim Golby had to say. He's a senior fellow at the Clement Center for National Security. The title, Trump makes bad decision worse in Afghanistan. The departing president neither embraced nor fully repudiated America's mission. This is from November 30th of 2020. I'm going to start out here just a little bit, Kareem. Since the day he entered office, President Donald Trump hasn't been able to make up his mind about whether the United States should keep fighting in Afghanistan. His most recent decision to arbitrarily reduce U.S. troops' presence to a nice round number by January 15th was no different. Pardon. Far from ending what he calls an endless war, Trump has only put the 2,500 troops who will remain in Afghanistan at greater risk. The situation was already bad, but he made it worse just in time to hand the problem to President-elect Joe Biden. Trump, a self-proclaimed deal maker, campaigned in 2016 and again in 2020 on ending the war, which began in 2001. Instead, he grudgingly followed the advice of his military advisors and added 4,000 troops in August of 2017. But that policy debate took its toll. Trump began to realize that the officers, whom he describes as my generals, weren't his after all. Like Barack Obama before him, Trump felt boxed in by the Pentagon. When Trump became bored with his general's approach, he handed the keys to Special Envoy Zalmay Khalilzad, a former U.S. ambassador to Afghanistan. Trump tasked him with striking a deal with the Taliban that would remove U.S. and NATO troops from Afghanistan while securing American counterterrorism objectives. In February, Khalilzad did just that. In exchange for guarantees that the Taliban would stop targeting U.S. forces in major Afghan cities, start peace talks with Afghan President Ashraf Ghani, and refrain from allowing terrorist groups to use Afghan soil as a base for international attacks, Khalilzad committed to withdrawing all U.S. troops and NATO troops by May of 2021. We've talked about that date quite a bit. But despite the special envoy's repeated assurances to NATO allies that future troop withdrawals would be tied to conditions on the ground, the Taliban never lived up to what the Pentagon and allied military leaders expected. Casualties spiked in recent months, and intra-Afghan talks remain stalled as the number of U.S. troops dropped to roughly 5,500 today. Again, November 2020. And the Taliban has still refused to break ties with al-Qaeda, an initial U.S. demand that was not part of the final deal. With the support of military leaders, then Defense Secretary Mark Esper urged Trump to halt further troop withdrawals until the Taliban fulfilled its promises. But that advice, coupled with several other policy clashes with Trump, merely sealed Esper's fate. The president removed him and other top Pentagon leaders shortly after the election. After firing and replacing 3 top civilian officials in the Pentagon. Now, let's remember why we think, at least why I think he did that. That was because, of course, of the insurrection, but I continue. After firing and replacing 3 top civilian officials at the Pentagon, the consequences of the Afghan decision is now entirely Trump's responsibility, writes Pence's advisor. Try though he might, the president can't lay the blame for his last gasp at a coherent policy at anyone else's feet. Any credibility remaining for Khalilzad's deal has been destroyed, and Trump's barely hidden desire to withdraw the troops all along, as well as his feckless management and inability to choose a policy vision and stick to it, has been revealed. The deal with the Taliban did more damage than if Trump had simply ordered troop reductions. Crudy, even if 14,000 troops were stationed in Afghanistan, as was the case in 2018, the U.S. would have no path to victory over the Taliban there. As unpalatable as it sometimes may seem, putting U.S. troops in harm's way isn't always about winning or solving problems. Sometimes it's about managing risk, keeping minor problems from turning into major crises. For years, America's de facto policy in Afghanistan has been to maintain enough troops to prevent the Taliban from overrunning the U.S.-backed government in Kabul and allowing terrorist groups to use the country as a base of operations again. During his tenure, Trump, for all his rhetoric about wanting to withdraw, has been no more willing to fully repudiate the basic U.S. policy than to defend it. Trump's decision to withdraw more troops, even though the Taliban is flouting its commitments, may score some political points with Americans weary of the conflict, but it puts the remaining U.S. troops in a riskier situation.
844-967-2789. Before we get to the phones, a 1-paragraph rebuttal from Donald Trump, a rebuttal of sorts. I got this from his Save America PAC. Sent it out to me today, Dom. Statement from Donald J. Trump. You know, he was the 45th president of the United States. And here's what he writes.
In case you didn't know.
If the Democrats could fight wars as well as they execute election fraud, we would have obliterated all of our many enemies throughout the world and would have nothing to worry about! Exclamation point.
You're going to be dead.
Great communicating. Curry, I'll wrap this up. Again, this is in the Atlantic. Found it from the Raw story written by Jim Golby. He sums it up as such. The reality is that conditions for a full withdrawal from Afghanistan are likely to remain unfavorable for the foreseeable future. Even if Biden wants to continue only a long-term counterterrorism presence, troops will need resources to protect themselves and prevent government collapse. In any case, the new administration should set more realistic expectations about the length and nature of our commitment than Trump has. Perhaps by design, perhaps by incompetence, perhaps out of sheer spite or arrogance, Trump has created the circumstances for another Bay of Pigs, Black Hawk Down, or Benghazi situations where the United States inserted itself into overseas conflicts enough to draw lethal opposition, but without sufficient strength to protect its people. Afghanistan was already a dire state before Trump announced the latest round of troop withdrawals, but the departing president has made a bad situation worse and probably untenable. The new administration will have to act fast to clean up Trump's mess. Again, this is Jim Golby, a senior fellow at the Clements Center for National Security. He formerly served as special advisor to Vice Presidents Joe Biden and Mike Pence, and as defense policy advisor at the U.S. mission to NATO.
844-967-2789. LA Tom, you're next. Welcome, sir.
Hey, Tom.
Hey guys. We the people are the government, and Republic Foxconn is horrible for business. The only grievance that I have, guys, is that I'm so sick of hearing on not just your show, but a lot of progressive shows, the sound bites from Republicans like Kevin McCarthy, Donald Trump, all of these guys. I mean, we must have some sound bites from Democrats, someone that actually make the media. Because all we hear about is their sound bites or their, and that all that's doing is just promoting them more and more and more, in my opinion.
Come on, man. We played like 10 Jen Psaki's and 5 Kevin McCarthy's.
And yesterday we
doubled her down.
We had the general from the Pentagon live. We brought Joe Biden live. And I hear what you're saying, Tom. And but here's the other side of that. Sometimes you need to play it to articulate the hypocrisy or the ignorance or the malfeasance of the people and what they're saying. I mean, I certainly don't want to. Sometimes you got to eat your broccoli, Tom, I guess is my point.
No, I get that. It's just it just seems like not just you guys, but I'm talking about in our whole media thing. You would not know anything that the Democrat says because I guess they're not as zany or as good at projection.
Well, what Democrats going to run out and step in front of the Biden administration on this topic and want to own any part of this, Tom? I mean, really?
They should come out and say, you know what? The Biden administration has done a hell of a good job, and getting out of a war is not easy. And let's put this blame right where it belongs, at the foot of George war criminal Bush, and let's talk about why it was that we went into Afghanistan in the first place.
Tom, I think most Democrats right now would be satisfied with a rapid evacuation and a relatively quiet ending to this war in Afghanistan somewhere around September 1st.
But I feel like that's the problem, is that the Democrats are never willing to actually speak up and say something.
But to do so, Tom, is to own George Bush's war, dude. Why would any Democrat, other than the commander-in-chief, other than Joe Biden, that's his role. He's got to address these things to the nation. But the rest of them, stay the hell out of the way, Tom. I don't want to see Mark Pocan. I don't want to see Chuck Schumer on this. I don't want to see Nancy Pelosi any more than necessary. Because this is an executive level decision. This is why we've got a decider. And the decider decided we're getting the hell out. And it's been really ugly, Tom. But who should go out there and claim this ugliness? It's not about placing blame. I get it. We all want to place blame. There's lots of blame to go around, Tom. But until it's a closed door, until we are out of Afghanistan, it's a daily bad headline for Joe Biden. And it's every day.
Let me throw it to this way, Tom. Let me ask you: have you And I have not. And I know Nancy Pelosi spoke yesterday and did not address it to my understanding. I have not seen Democrats themselves come out and really say much whatsoever, especially in the last 24, 48 hours. Have you seen anything specifically that you would like to highlight, or you think that bears repeating?
No, I think you're right. I don't think Democrats speak up. I think that I don't know. Has Bernie said anything about maybe the other issue that was top and front and center on everything, For the People Act? A week ago. I mean, it's like now everyone's concerned about. No one's given a crap about Afghanistan for the past 15 years, and now the media all day long, it's Afghanistan. I don't know. It's just like follow. The dog follows the car, I guess, is what happens. And it's just like, why can't our media just step up and say, okay, I don't know, withhold judgment or something on this until we actually get somewhere.
Tom, appreciate your call, man. Keep listening. Bernie Sanders tweeted out 3 hours ago. I've said it before. I'll say it again. It is time for the Congress to finally have the guts to stand up to the wealthy and the special interest and restore the people's faith in the idea that our government can work for all of us. We, the people, are the government, Tom. You said it best. Come back. More Devil's Advocates. More of your phone calls as well. 844-967-2789.
But it bears repeating now.
They hire usually good people. Got into a topic that I shouldn't have. I'm straightly not answering your question.
The president is pushing back against people who attack him day after day after day. Where is the outrage on that?
This president, I'll tell you, is the most informed person on planet Earth when it comes to the threats that we face.
I'm sorry that disgusts you. Stop shaking your head again.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take care of their kids thanks to the expanded child tax credit passed by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Ron Johnson voted against these checks for Wisconsin families, despite voting for a 2017 tax break that put more money into the pockets of millionaires like himself. It's time to vote Ron Johnson out of office. MoveOn.org political action, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Hi, this is Daun from the Devil's Advocates, inviting you to join us on patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
The tear gas changed the crowd's demeanor. There was an air of disbelief as people realized that the police whom they supported were firing on them. "What are you doing? We support you," someone yelled. All of a sudden, pro-police people felt the police were attacking them, and they didn't know why. The pro-police crowd went from disbelief and confusion to anger.
The police instigated the crowd, right? The police were the oppressors here. So, Ron, Black Lives Matter?
I don't know, but I'm suspicious.
Listen to Devil's Advocates weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m.
The Devil's Advocates, making radio great again.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are open for your take, air your grievances at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, while we've talked an awful lot about this tragic terrorist act at the airport in Kabul, Afghanistan, 13 American service members dead, about 170 people dead, reportedly. Perhaps there will be more. And we're supposed to be outraged. And every Republican, I mean, I hear a lot of them calling for censure or impeachment or worse of Joe Biden. It's all Joe Biden's fault. But here's something I'd like to point out to the people, just sort of, throw it out there for your consideration. I looked up the COVID deaths in Florida yesterday. One day, 901 people died in Florida yesterday from COVID-19. And the governor of the state of Florida is still out there advocating against mask mandates in the public schools for children, unvaccinated. And we're supposed to be outraged by the 13 dead Americans. And no doubt that is a tragedy for each and every one of those families. And it was also tragic when 55 soldiers died in the Afghanistan theater when Donald Trump was the president. And I've heard a few people, well, there were no casualties, no U.S. casualties in Afghanistan for like a year under Trump's presidency. Yeah, the year he made the deal with the Taliban. The very same Taliban that we're supposed to not trust, right? Can't trust the Taliban, the same one your boy made the deal with. So this goes beyond hypocrisy, Daun. This goes to real, actual tragedy, preventable tragedy. Because I'm not sure what Joe Biden was supposed to do about a terrorist attack. And I don't know why that Republicans lost their mind on Benghazi. It was Benghazi. That's all I heard about. Benghazi. Again, tragic for 4 people. And it's tragic that 13 Americans and 170 people died yesterday in Kabul. But it's way more tragic to me that we got 900 people dying a day in Florida. And you got a freaking governor that's going against science and logic and vaccines and wearing masks. And it's not one isolated incident. It's an entire party doing this. And they're supported by a messaging platform. Joe Biden's got awful, but, don't wear masks, don't get vaccinated. And let's all go to the bar. Let's go hang out, cough on each other, listen to some country music. 844-96. These things bother me. 844-967-2789.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of country music either.
I saw something published recently. I believe it was a Bob Newhart quote. I'm not a fan of country music, Bob Newhart said. And I don't mean to denigrate those that are fans of country music. And for country music fans, denigrate means to make fun of. 844-967-2789. Ross, how can we help you, man? What do you got for us?
Hey, Ross.
Hey, you guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, happy Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday.
Yeah, thank you. Same to you.
Yeah, man. So what I appreciate what you guys are saying sometimes is when we compare these deaths in Afghanistan to there's deaths in COVID and stuff like that. Usually if I have to battle it out with some armchair Republican or whatever, I usually sort of lately what I've been doing with this Afghanistan fiasco is blaming the Pentagon. And I still feel like this whole war has really been a Pentagon failure. And then of course, as Americans, it also falls on us because we just we let this war kind of go on without really saying anything. But I read something today, I think Trudy somebody or other in the Wisconsin State Journal, she's a syndicated columnist, and she made it sound like maybe Biden did get briefed. That is they may have said, look, this is going to be a fiasco. But that's kind of what I'm waiting to know is did Biden, did they tell him this is going to be a cluster? And he just said, well, we're doing
I think that was one of the contingencies that was laid out. I mean, how could the military and how could intelligence, any competent or credible intelligence agency say, if you withdraw, it could be a cluster. I mean, everybody knew it could be a cluster. Anyone that's ever seen the end of a war knows they all end with a cluster, Ross. So that was certainly a predictable outcome. I think that Biden was aspirational and hopeful that it wouldn't be a cluster, but it was.
Yeah.
And what I appreciate to this point, Ross, is the fact that he hasn't really backed off his original stance. He's still supportive. He's still standing by the notion it was time to end this war, Ross. I absolutely stand by this notion. And, I don't think those 13 deaths in Kabul were preventable. I think it was another tragic terrorist act. And I think the fact that we've got U.S. troops all around the world in harm's way is exactly the reason why we needed to end this war after 21 years.
Yeah.
Because, the less U.S. troops you got sitting in Kabul in Afghanistan, the less U.S. casualties we're going to have.
The one thing I might add is I kind of wondered if it could have been a bit more orderly. So the idea was, although they couldn't predict the downfall.
I'm not going to defend it, Ross. I keep telling you, man, I voted for the socialist.
Yeah, okay. I hear you. Yeah, no, from a military point of view, if somebody would have just barked at Biden saying, look, we're going to get out, but let us do it our way. And I'm trying to imagine him saying, no, you're doing it my way. But maybe
But Ross, again, and we read a little bit of that piece from this advisor. If you look at when the deal was struck, right? You're talking about February of 2020. We got the pictures of Pompeo and all these Taliban, doing this deal. So you know that the end is eventually coming. And what happens? Well, the money stops flowing, right? Whoever was, doing however the money flowed, there are bottlenecks perhaps at some of these Afghan, army folks who are supposed to pay their own people. Well, they start stuffing their own pockets, right? All of a sudden now your boots on the ground Afghan soldiers are not getting paid. We've seen reports of that. And above and beyond that, once that deal was struck, well, the Taliban starts negotiating with their Afghan rivals because everybody knows the U.S. is leaving. Everybody knows they just did a deal. So they start doing their part of it. And if there's corruption, and certainly there is an opportunity to stuff your own pockets, regardless of what your nationality is, everyone loves the green, Ross. But you can see how this was starting to be a slow motion and slowly starting to speed up to what it ended up to be. And if and remember, Trump said he was going to get out in May.
I think we're out of time for callers in this segment, but we got a fine guest joining us next. He's Andrew Seidel from the Freedom from Religion Foundation. And we got plenty more time for your grievances here on this Big Friday show. But Dom went on a bit of a filibuster. And that's what you do here, man. It's Friday. You're airing your grievances. I was going to sneak a few more callers in, man.
Well, you keep talking. You could have done it already.
I didn't think there was time. Not adequate time. Each and every caller deserves the rant room that we give you here, man. Come back.
Sometimes you just got to take it, baby.
Hour 2 of the Devil's Advocates is next.
And we can all look in a mirror, find some blame somewhere. What about?
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians.
Hello, Andrew.
Schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
Gentlemen.
Glorious. You're Mr. Seidel, correct?
To help take care of their kids.
Yeah.
Expanded child tax credit passed by
Oh, I
Joe
can hear you
Biden
just fine.
and Democrats. Ron Johnson
I can hear you so good it sounds clear.
families despite voting
I'm going to come up with something more clever, but that's it.
more money into
It's a nice setup. I like it.
millionaires like himself. It's time to vote
And I like your art.
out of office. MoveOn.org political action. Paid for.
Those are,
is responsible
my
for the
photos,
content of
actually,
this
so I really
advertising.
appreciate that.
Hold.moveon.org.
No, that's even,
Authorized by any
even better. You made your own art.
Greetings, everyone. This is Nate Kim inviting you.
All right, man, you got a couple minutes here.
Land about life
I'm just
and
gonna finish
politics
this project.
in rural Wisconsin. Join me every Thursday at 7 p.m. for ideas, guests, and conversation on Devil Radio.
You are listening to WTTN Columbus, W224EG Madison, always streaming at doubleradio927.com.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. Press Secretary Jen Psaki says President Biden meant it when he said,
"We will hunt you down and make you pay."
I think he made clear yesterday that he does not want them to live on the earth anymore.
the president says the mission goes on to evacuate Americans and Afghan allies from the Kabul airport. 13 U.S. service members were killed in what the Pentagon says was one suicide attack. Pentagon spokesman John Kirby says there is a threat of more attacks. The goal, to protect
the lives of our troops and, of course, the lives of evacuees and trying to continue to get as many out as possible.
Ida is now a hurricane near Cuba. It could reach the Gulf Coast on the anniversary of the destructive Hurricane Katrina. Here's the AP Shelley Adler.
If the forecast holds up,
Hurricane Ida is going to make landfall on August 29th there, which is the 16-year anniversary of Hurricane Katrina.
Brian McNulty, who's a hurricane researcher at the University of Miami.
There's a chance for quite a lot of intensification where we could be looking at a Category 3 or 4 hurricane.
New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell ordered the evacuation of everyone living outside the levee system. However, she also pointed out what's improved since Katrina, which was a Cat 3 storm.
Science has changed based on our ability to get more accurate information from the National Weather Service. So we have, and our communications have been improved as well over time.
I'm Shelley Adler.
The CDC says the number of coronavirus cases and deaths are up. White House Response Coordinator Jeff Zients says they're working to get kids 12 and up vaccinated.
The vaccination rate among adolescents is growing faster than any other age group.
A review ordered by President Biden shows intelligence agencies remain divided on the origins of the coronavirus, but believe China's leaders did not know about it before the start of the pandemic. Stocks are higher at the close on Wall Street. This is AP News.
Hey, y'all, this is your girl, Cheryl Underwood, and I want to tell you something. My digestive system used to make me feel sluggish, but those days are over. Now I feel great. That's because I increased my fiber intake with the Metamucil 2-week challenge, and I'm still hooked. I just took Metamucil every day for 14 days, and it's really that easy. Metamucil traps and removes the waste that weighs you down, so you feel lighter and more energetic. Now I never want to go back to that heavy feeling. Are you ready for the Metamucil 2-week challenge? For a coupon and daily support, sign up at metamucil.com today.
According to research, 82% of people will remember radio ads. So 82% of you listening will remember that this is an ad for ZipRecruiter. 82% of you will note that if you're hiring, ZipRecruiter finds qualified people for your job. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And 82% of you will remember that you can try ZipRecruiter for free, but you have to go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Yes, free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
It's the Orton Front Festival, August 26th through 29. 2 beloved events over one festival weekend on Madison's East Side. August 26th and 27th, head to Orton Park. And on the 28th and 29th, head to Yahara Place Park. It's live music, food, and fun for the whole family. August 26th through the 29th, it's the Orton Front Festival. Find the Orton Front Festival on Facebook or search the music calendar at maxincradio.com.
This is Chad Spate. Are you thinking about improving or expanding your home? At Chad's Design Build, we're committed to making your home comfortable, healthy, attractive, durable, and sustainable. In fact, those commitments spell our name. And we deliver these services with our outstanding team of professionals who will respect you and your home. Visit our website at chadsdesignbuild.com to learn more about how we are building a better world, one remodeled home at a time.
This is Crudy, and I recommend calling Dave and the team at Community PC to solve all your computing needs. What do I call Community PC? Because I don't want to learn new things about tech. Because I don't want to call the manufacturer's customer service line and waste half the day of my life. Because I don't want to ask my kid for help and have him respond, okay, boomer. Just call Community PC at 608-268-7178 for their patient service. Just let Community PC fix it. 608-268-7178. Call today. I offer this guarantee to those that advertise with Devil Radio. You will not lose money. You will get return on your investment. I'm Mike Crude. I own Devil Radio. I know it's scary to spend money, but you must invest now in telling customers, old and new, that you're open for business. Devil Radio listeners are hugely supportive of our sponsors. Our creative team will help you craft your message until it works. We will keep running your ads until you tell me you're making money. Call Devil Radio today. We will succeed together. You will make money. I guarantee it.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. Beginning this upcoming Monday, Dane County will have a new team of trained specialists to dispatch for 911 calls that are deemed to be nonviolent mental health calls. The Community Alternative Response to Emergency Situation and Services, or CARES team, will comprise of 2 paramedics and 2 mental health professionals to respond to mental health crises rather than police officers. Yesterday, the La Crosse-based Dairyland Power Cooperative announced plans to buy the Rockgen Energy Center near Cambridge. Rockgen Energy Center is a 503 megawatt natural gas generator that powered roughly 54,000 typical Wisconsin homes last year and emitted 280,000 tons of CO2 in 2019. UW-Madison announced this week it will use $1.9 million of federal COVID-19 relief funds to clear portions of student debt that accumulated during the pandemic. You're listening to Devil Radio.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we are welcome right from the top by another fine guest. He is Andrew Seidel, the returning champion. He is the director of strategic response from the Freedom from Religion Foundation. He has an extensive resume, but that's all I'm reading, Andrew. Welcome back, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on again, gentlemen. It's a pleasure, always.
Always, Andrew. Thank you.
Happy Friday to you. Andrew, I'm going to start this segment by telling a really brief story. I have a son who is on the autism spectrum, and I read articles, and whenever it's mentions autism, I always take note. And why I took note of this particular article, it said that people on the autism spectrum aren't always well suited for all jobs. And part of the reason why is they're too moral. They tell the truth. They're just grounded in morals, and that doesn't always suit them. And I was thinking as I read your fine piece, my son would not be well suited for, let's say, politics or perhaps the pulpit. You've written a fine piece, and you talk about some really intriguing concepts, sort of the religious permission structure. And this is a newer concept for me, and I consider myself a religious man. But Andrew, start by kind of giving me a broad thought so I know that I understand it. What is the permission structure, and what's it mean when it's handed down from God?
Yeah, I mean, permission structure is sort of this schematic of ideas that we each have that justifies an action for us. And the dicier or more immoral an action, the more you need a permission structure to override your innate morality and innate humanity. And religion historically, and in the current climate, the anti-vaccine climate that we're seeing, is really playing a role, both in accepting the disinformation that is just running rampant and roughshod over our society, to also justifying simply immoral actions such as refusing to wear a mask or refusing to get vaccinated. And this is, again, something we've seen throughout history. Slavery was a huge problem here in the United States for a long time. Religion was one of the big things that justified it. People used to point to the Bible. It can be used to justify all manner of good and bad things. The problem comes when it's those immoral things.
Well, Andrew, when your justification comes from God Almighty, that's an awfully strong justification. Do you think that somehow gives them a greater sort of internal rationalization?
Oh, absolutely, because it makes it immune to external pressures, right? Other people saying to you, hey, you could save a life by wearing a mask. Hey, that's another human being that you are shackling and forcing to do your labor. They can say, no, God has told me differently. And that shuts down everything. It immediately removes it. And instead of a rational debate about morality or engaging on these issues, they have assigned their own immoral actions a divine mandate, a holy writ. And that is unassailable. The only way to get at it is to get at the religion itself.
And Andrew, you mentioned in your piece, religion and Christian nationalism sort of intersect, and they have provided a moral permission for immoral acts. And specifically, you referenced the January 6th insurrection. What do you mean by that, Andrew?
Yeah, so I would encourage everybody to keep an ear out for this and stay tuned to the Freedom from Religion Foundation. We're going to have some big announcements on that front. And this piece that we're talking about, too, is over on the Freedom from Religion Foundation blog, Free Thought Now. But if you watched what happened on January 6th, I mean, you saw a lot of ideologies at play there. QAnon, white nationalism, you saw the militia groups there. But the overriding unifying ideology there was Christian nationalism. It was the common tie among all of those. They carried a Christian flag onto the floor of the US Senate. I mean, their flags said, Jesus is my savior, Trump is my president. There are flags that said, Jesus is king. There's people carried Bibles over the heads of the crowd as they stormed in to the Capitol itself. They made it very, very clear. It's just that it didn't get as wide a coverage as it should have. It started, the talk of Christian nationalism after January 6th started to enter the mainstream, but didn't quite make it all the way through. And there really is this very obvious common thread of Christian nationalism running through the insurrection of January 6th.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Andrew Seidel from the Freedom from Religion Foundation joining us via the Zoom. Andrew, to get that last name right, I'll make sure I got you right.
You got it. Andrew Seidel.
All right. Yeah. Andrew, you mentioned the only way to get at it is to get at the religion. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, once somebody has said, I believe that it is acceptable to not wear a mask because my God has said so. I believe it's acceptable not to get a vaccine because my God has said so. I believe it's acceptable to enslave people because my God has said so. That has shut down all rational reason to debate. And the only way then is to get at the religion itself and get them to start questioning all of the underpinnings of that religion, which is significantly more difficult to do.
I was going to say, I mean, how exactly do we go about dismantling?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it's
a religion or someone's discussion of that. How do you do that?
I mean, it's incredibly difficult, and it's not going to happen in the conversation that you are having. I mean, that's just not possible. So it really is, and that is one reason that the religious permission structure is so difficult to undo, and it's so difficult to convince people that they are incorrect and that their clearly immoral action is in fact immoral. It's one of the reasons that mob that was storming through the halls on January 6th seemed so entitled and like there were not going to be any consequences for this action. And I should add too, I wrote a book called The Founding Myth: Why Christian Nationalism is Un-American. And the publisher is putting out a new version of that with an epilogue that is all about how January 6th and that insurrection was motivated by Christian nationalism. And I kind of lay out that evidence. It really is. It does make it significantly more difficult, though, to undo. And the flip side of that coin is it makes it so much more easy for them to justify immoral, hurtful, or bigoted behavior once they claim this unassailable divine permission structure.
Well, I thought the privilege, it was the white privilege of most of those folks, and they're along with their religion, perhaps, Andrew.
Well, I mean, it's a great point, Daun, but those two things are just intimately tied together in a way that I think a lot of people don't realize. And when I say Christian nationalism, I really ought to be saying white Christian nationalism. And that is something that I get into in the epilogue of The Founding Myth.
I think you make a great point with regards to the symbolism there during the insurrection. I too noted, and maybe because I'm not the believer, when I see people coming with flags and the same thing and the Jesus is my God thing, and there was a lot of that there, and you could watch any of the footage and you can see lots of Christian symbolism during the insurrection. But I've looked at it in too simple of terms. I kind of thought, well, if you're a believer, maybe you're just more of a sucker for this kind of thing. So if you believe in God or a God or whatever that may be that I don't believe in, well, then maybe you're more apt to believe someone, an authoritarian figure like Donald Trump or QAnon or conspiracy stuff. But Crudy mentioned, I mean, he's a a faithful man, and he's got the vaccine. What do you think the distinction is between those who believe and still understand science versus those that will hide behind that religion? Is interpretation? How would you address that?
Yeah, it's a good question. And the short answer is I think it's different for everybody. I don't think there's a one size fits all answer for that. There's also a really interesting, there's a lot of data now suggesting that politics influences religion more than the other way around. And I think you can actually see this happening right now with this claim that is popping up that all of a sudden religion requires exemptions from the vaccines. No church, no religion, no major body has expressed any theological objection to the vaccines, none. But you have these small Christian nationalist churches, these churches that are steeped in conservative politics as much as they are in the Bible, and they're the ones that are fighting against masks. They're the ones that are fighting against vaccines. And I think that is really kind of crucial to the question that you just got at. And it was something that I was really trying to get at in the piece. They've kind of reverse engineered this permission structure in this case, because we have seen historically in the courts, religious freedom is a license to do whatever. So they're looking at that and saying, okay, now my politics dictate that I want this. I know religious freedom is essentially a get out of jail free card, so I can go ahead and do this. There's no newfound biblical text on vaccines. There's no new scroll that was discovered that talks about shots in the arm. The people don't want to get the vaccines. So they're claiming that their God doesn't want them to get the shot. It's just another abuse of religious freedom.
Can I just claim my God wants them to get the shot and make them have the shot? I mean, what kind of an argument is that, Andrew?
Yeah, I know. But this ties it back together. It's not an argument, right? It's just, I have a divine mandate to do this. The whole point is that it's not an argument. It's to remove it from the realm of argument.
Andrew Seidel, Director of Strategic Response, Freedom from Religion Foundation. The fine article we kept referencing, it's found at thepathos.com. Sheep, goats, and vaccines, how religion creates a permission structure for anti-vaxxers. I want to slide one in there about the ivermectin, wondered how that all factored in the sheep case. But Andrew, we'll have to save that for another Friday. Thank you for coming around.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Andrew.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. More of this big show when we come back. Dial us up, 844-967-2789. And, it's going to use some sound from Trump as well. He got booed in Alabama trying to encourage the religious, the cult members, get a vaccine. They said, hell no. God says no. Come back. More Devil's Advocates. God said, listen to this show.
Thanks, guys.
You know what I am? I'm a nationalist.
I think God would want us to go to Milwaukee.
We're on a mission from God.
Excuse me, pardon?
Getting lost in a city you always wanted to visit.
Pardon, madame. Pardon? S'il vous plaît. Je cherche un restaurant. Merci.
Getting back to the moments we miss starts with getting informed.
So cool.
Get the latest info about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take care of their kids, thanks to the expanded child tax credit passed by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Ron Johnson voted against these checks for Wisconsin families, despite voting for a 2017 tax break that put more money into the pockets of millionaires like himself. It's time to vote Ron Johnson out of office. MoveOn.org political action, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
America, your children have an amazing superpower. That's right. They can help save lives by simply washing their hands. Just 20 seconds of thorough hand washing after they've coughed or sneezed or been outside can help fight against the dastardly spread of germs. Armed with only soap and water and hands, your superhero can protect you, your family, and everyone out there in America land. Amazing! Find out more at coronavirus.gov. A message from the CDC and the Ad Council.
Josh Call, the candidate for Wisconsin Attorney General.
Do you think voter ID had a suppressive effect, not on 100 voters, but on thousands of voters and perhaps tipped the election to Donald Trump?
This is an issue that came up at our trial. And first of all, I should thank you guys because we actually introduced into evidence the recording of you interviewing Dale Schultz, who was talking about the passage of the voter ID law. That was one of our pieces of evidence.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling devil's advocates. 2% of the time, they're right every time. Dom and Cruz are the devil's advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Happy Friday to us all. Join us on the phones. Air your grievances, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, I want to thank our most recent guest, Andrew Seidel, from the Freedom from Religion Foundation, from the religious, freedom from the anti-vaxxers, the Trumpsters, the white nationalists. I don't think membership will keep you safe from the true believers.
I just want to tell you, religious folks, I talked to God this morning. He said you should all get the vaccine. So don't worry about it. And send me $100.
Care of the station. Because the last guy that sent a gift by way of your way, I didn't get half my gift.
Oh, hell. I still got it.
You better. My rosary, of course, I'm referencing.
Yes.
844-967-2789. We'll get to the phones momentarily. A quick note from one of our audience members. Gene sent me a note. Hi, Crudy. Is it possible, perhaps someday, that you guys could hold an open house? I would love to see firsthand how the show operates. Slow down, Gene. I'm not so sure. You ever been to a sausage factory, sir? You ever seen a grown man naked? A little bit more. Gene says he'd especially like to see how fancy Brian is able to insert hilarious drop-ins. He's the best. Whatever you're paying him, you should. Oh, I take that part back. It says whatever we're paying him, we should double it. Gene, thanks for
listening. Screwdriver, my plumber's helper. I'll open up his mouth and I'll shove it in.
Gene, thanks for the suggestion. Open house, maybe. We'll see. You know, we've been out in the public quite a bit of late. It's been the summer of love, Gene. You could join us at one of the big live events. Anyways, 844-967-2789. Let's go back to the phones. Mark from Fridley, Minnesota. I bet that's a friendly place. Welcome, Mark. What do you got for us?
Hey, Mark.
Hey, guys, you got it. And your producer does an outstanding job, too, by the way. This is the first time for me calling into your show. But I'm actually quite well known as a national security whistleblower here in the Twin Cities and also in Washington, D.C. But I just want to head off by saying I was at the event at the Minnesota Capitol with the Clean Water Coalition. And the show of force by our U.S. police state military was overwhelmingly Orwellian. And that's the thing that I want to be concerned about and other people be concerned about right now because the veterans, and again, I'm a veteran. There's no need to say thank you for your service. But the PTSD that our veterans are suffering from today, and for people that just suddenly now recognize that Afghanistan has been a problem, you're about 19 years and 51 weeks late to the party because we need to talk about the people that got it right. Russ Feingold is one of yours and he got it right. Matt Rothschild was one of yours and he got it right. Minnesota Senator Paul Wellstone. We're coming on to the 19th anniversary of the death of Paul Wellstone, October 25th. He got it right. And, you know, these people that got it right, we need to pay attention. Richard Holbrooke, whose dying words in 2008, having a massive cardiac arrest in Hillary Clinton's office, was, "We've got to get out of Afghanistan." And people need to do their own research on this, because Afghanistan, what Richard Holbrooke understood 20 years ago was that unless you consider Pakistan as being part of Afghanistan, nothing is going to be accomplished. The Sunni terrorist network is headquartered out of Pakistan. So if you're talking about Al-Qaeda, if you're talking about Al-Shabaab, if you're talking about Al-Nusra, if you're talking about the Taliban, that's all out of Pakistan. And we knew this from the beginning. And we have 23 veterans a day reported commit suicide. We don't hear anything about that for 20 years.
Mark, all great points, man. We certainly appreciate it. If I may go back a little bit, and I did see some of the social media posting, and I didn't dive into it today, with the water protectors at the Capitol, and it looks like hundreds of police officers for not very many protesters. Mark, what can you expand on that a little bit? What do you know?
Okay, I've been involved politically in this, and I've been involved in the military in combat military police and corrections and psychological operations. And that event, that show of force, was wholly unnecessary. They reestablished the barricades around the Capitol. They set up a perimeter. There was such an extreme amount of show of force that it was laughable. And you're talking about a bunch of hippies, you're talking about a bunch of middle-aged people, you're talking about tons of youth, and you're talking about children that are involved in prayer circles around teepees, because our legislators are in the pockets of big oil, of big pharma, of the military-industrial complex, and that was offensive. And I have a background and experience involved in these types of events, and I happen to know that there was also attempts to cognitively infiltrate this group and create a problem at this event, but the Native American security team actually corralled these 4 individuals and eliminated them as a threat to the event, and handed them over to the state patrol. But you know, the amount of resources that were wasted at that event were wholly unnecessary, and that was a show of force. And now the Department of Homeland Security recently said, listen, if you are a 9/11 truther, if you are an anti-vax person, if you believe the election was stolen, you're part of a domestic terrorist threat network.
Mark, got to cut you short there. Really appreciate your call. Keep listening on AM 950. Modest correction. Russ Feingold did vote for the invasion of Afghanistan. He did vote against the Patriot Act. He was the lone dissenter on that piece of legislation. But our senator, Russ Feingold, did vote. I believe Barbara Lee was the only congressional vote against the invasion. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates.
You fool me, we can't get fooled again.
It is absolutely 150% your fault.
But I'm the decider, and I decide what is best.
You see?
Make sure you listen to Devil Radio 92.7. If you do, you go to heaven.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
You feeling stressed or anxious, trying to figure out this new world? Maybe just feeling sore after all that summer yard work? You should come try Knuckleheads. With a new location at 520 State Street, Knuckleheads has the best CBD and wellness products Madison has to offer. Come talk to a friendly neighborhood knucklehead today and see if CBD works for you. You can call the shop at 608-284-0151 or check out the website, knuckleheadcbd.com, with any questions. And I'm Lando Commando, and I'll see you there at our new location, 520 State Street. Yeah!
5 your local single source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 5-9.
Update. I'm Ed Donahue with an AP News Minute. Stocks finished higher. The Dow up 242 points. White House coronavirus response coordinator Jeff Zients says more people are getting shots.
1.1 million shots in arms is the highest single day total since July 3rd. So 8 weeks to go.
CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky says the number of coronavirus cases has gone up.
And the 7-day average of daily deaths has also increased to 864 per day, an increase of nearly 11% from the previous 7-day period.
Arizona reached more than 1 million confirmed coronavirus cases, the 13th state to reach that level. A circuit judge in Florida is blocking Governor Ron DeSantis' executive order banning mask mandates. The governor's order gave parents the sole right to decide if their child wears a mask at school. The judge ruled DeSantis doesn't have the legal authority. I'm Ed Donahue.
Hey y'all, this is your girl Cheryl Underwood, and I want to tell you something. My digestive system used to make me feel sluggish, but those days are over. Now I feel great. That's because I increased my fiber intake with the Metamucil 2-week challenge, and I'm still hooked. I just took Metamucil every day for 14 days, and it's really that easy. Metamucil traps and removes the waste that weighs you down, so you feel lighter and more energetic. Now I never want to go back to that heavy feeling. Are you ready for the Metamucil 2-week challenge? For a coupon and daily support, sign up at Metamucil.com today.
According to research, 82% of people will remember radio ads. So 82% of you listening will remember that this is an ad for ZipRecruiter. 82% of you will note that if you're hiring, ZipRecruiter finds qualified people for your job. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And 82% of you will remember that you can try ZipRecruiter for free, but you have to go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Yes, free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Channel 1.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. Yesterday, UW System Interim President Tommy Thompson called for the Wisconsin legislature and governor to put together a blue ribbon commission on higher education in the state. At an event yesterday, Thompson also hinted he does not plan to seek to become the UW System president on a permanent basis. Thompson's comments came as Republicans in the Wisconsin legislature are at odds whether or not to take legal action against the UW system after Thompson announced this week he will not wait for legislative approval to implement COVID-19 mitigation efforts on campuses this fall. Forecast of thunderstorms early in the day with the potential for heavy rain and gusting winds. 80% chance for rain with a projected 1 to 2 inches of rainfall today and a high of 85 degrees. Partly cloudy skies expected tonight with a stray storm possible. Overnight low of 73 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
I took the wrong week. Quit drinking.
The Devil's Advocates. We drink when we toast. We toast when we drink.
So I'm going to drink. What are we going to drink? Well, the beer. Cheers.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. It's a Friday afternoon. It's nearly the 4 o'clock happy hour. Zombie, you drinking yet? You day drinking?
No, not yet, man. Come on. It's not a happy hour yet.
So what?
It's another 27 minutes.
Not that you're counting.
What are we, animals?
You know, I think, here in the state of Wisconsin, we have something of a reputation as boozaholics, right? Like something.
I drink and I know things.
Something
Yes.
like 12 of the 20th drunkest cities in America. I mean, we dominate the field. We're number one, baby.
Yeah, baby.
And I see an article, and I'd like to bring this to your attention, Dom. And, because I know you share my attitude that a little excessive drinking is necessary now and again. But according to the headline at the Raw story, I drink normally. Rudy Giuliani tells NBC New York, I don't think I've ever done an interview drunk. That's more than you or I could say, Dom.
That's because he was drunk and he forgot about it.
Just go inauguration night, Rudy Giuliani, end of discussion. It's over.
Well, I can't speak to Rudy's state of mind on inauguration night, but I can tell you the first Democratic presidential debate at the Wynn Hotel in Vegas, I was buying the rounds. They were quite expensive at the Wynn, Dom, like $43, something like that for 2 drinks. one for me and one for you. And we had several because we were done broadcasting. We thought we were done for the day, but being our very first presidential event, we want to get a sense of what it'd be like to hang out in the spin room. And I eventually found my way back to you. I was trying to chase Bernie Sanders and a few of the other fine presidential candidates. Not you, Jim Webb. But anyways, Hillary did not actually come to the spin room, but she was represented there by John Podesta of WikiLeaks email fame. That John Podesta, right? And there's my little buddy at his first big spin room, first presidential level event. And he's got a sifter, like a brandy sifter, full of tequila. And he's interviewing John Podesta with tequila in his hand. And I was not the only one that noticed. John Podesta also cocked his head and sort of ducked down. And you and John Podesta, similar sized men. And he sort of cocked his head and took note that the clear liquid you were drinking probably wasn't water. And the thickening of your tongue, just ever so modestly.
Just a tad.
As you asked him about Hillary's marijuana policy. And I suspect you might have snuck out back some point during the evening at the Wynn as well. So you're probably stoned and drunk. And so anyways, that was our first foray into presidential politics, Tom.
And then after that night, Curdy, I figured, man, I could do this.
Dude, you fit right in.
Right, man. Where's Giuliani when I need him? Paisano, come on.
Well, Dominic, former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani addressed his drinking during an interview with WNBC surrounding the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. Do you remember when he was a well-respected mayor, America's mayor?
Seems
What has happened to us? What has happened to us?
At age 77, Giuliani says he's as sharp as ever, and he denies claims in published reports and from colleagues that a drinking problem is to blame for the change in public perception of him. I'm not sure if that's a problem, Dom. A little bit more. Have you ever struggled with alcohol? The interviewer asked. Never at all. Never at all, Giuliani replied.
No, I win every time.
Were you drunk during those interviews when they said you were? Absolutely not. I don't think I've ever done an interview drunk. I don't think I've ever done an interview drunk. You do not have the right to make that claim, Dominic.
Not when I was conscious.
And then he says, I have sometimes, I drink normally. I like scotch. I drink scotch.
Scotch.
He sounds like a man after your own heart.
I love scotch. I love scotch.
I'm not an expert on the facts yet. I'm getting there.
So you do not believe you have a drinking problem? Again, the interviewer asked. I don't believe it. I know I'm not. I know I'm not an alcoholic. I'm a functioning. I probably function more effectively than 90% of the population, said a drunken Giuliani, allegedly.
Never ask the Navy man if you'll have another drink.
So Rudy, defending himself, have you ever had to publicly defend yourself other than this segment right here, Dom, about being intoxicated?
Oh, come on. I had a couple of drinks when I was talking to Podesta, but actually you didn't know we were going to go back in and do all this. So
we did not. That was like bonus coverage.
Yeah, I know. So exactly. It was what it was. But to say that, have you ever struggled with drinking? Well, no. Giuliani has no problem drinking. Do you have a drinking problem? No, I drink, no problem. The guy's he's a walking joke.
The Grecian formula, that's my bigger problem.
Right,
I've been in a situation where I worked at a bar and the bar was experiencing a power outage, and it was a once in a blue moon type of situation. And my boss looked at me, and I wasn't drinking. He's like, you should have a drink while we're doing this. And I'm like, normally I would, but I got to do a kids show in the morning. I'm doing a kids show. And he's like, drink or you're fired. I was like, you serious? He's like, absolutely. Drink or you're fired. And I kept my job.
Okay. See?
And I did the show pretty awesome the next day.
Well, a little hungover for a kid's party. That never hurt anything.
Good thing is I'm tall enough that my breath went above the crowd and not into it.
Not burning any eyebrows off.
844-967-2789. Drunk dialers, welcome here. Mark from the Sack, welcome back. What do you got for us?
Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Hey there, guys. Yeah, that was a good joke. Drinking, I drink, I get drunk, I fall down, no problem.
Right.
It just and that talking about a country song, I couldn't but help but think of the Aqua song that has that line in it. That my life is a country song. That everything is gone. My life is a country song. I mean, it's one of the lines, and it gets repeated several times. That line in there also, and there something. The girlfriend leaves a note, and it's go, "You suck." It's
I've received that note.
It's kind of funny that all these Republicans are piling on and blaming Joe Biden for all the problems that have happened in Afghanistan, and it's just something that we really haven't seen before. This kind of piling on that Donald Trump, as Daun pointed out yesterday, that Donald Trump leaves a big garbage, big paper sack full of dog do on the entry to the White House, and lights on fire, and now the Republicans are saying, well, what are you going to do about that, Joe Biden? And I mean, and there's just and congrats to you yesterday on CJ and Sandy on, because I'm certain that any of us calling into Icky Vicky or Clan O'Donnell or Mark Belling, any of those guys, they'd never give us the time that you gave those fine callers yesterday.
Well, I feel like we're being kind of generous right now, Mark.
Yeah,
Mark, let me turn you quickly. Have you seen that right-wing talk radio and different media sources, including three of the finest you just named, they're all accusing Joe Biden of being infirm, mentally infirm? I mean, I hear Sean Hannity each and every day. What is wrong with Joe Biden? I didn't think yesterday, the live speech we played from Biden, I didn't think he helped his cause any. I didn't think it was his strongest moment. Now, perhaps he was empathetic. I wasn't watching it. I was only listening to it. And when he took the moment of silence, I understand he, sort of leaned forward and prayed on the podium. But we joke about Rudy being something of a drunkaholic, and apparently, even according to Trump once upon a time, that's why he didn't make Rudy the attorney general. But we all question the sanity and the firmity of Donald Trump's faculties. And now they're doing it to Joe Biden. And I don't know if you're aware, Mark, but it's happening with some frequency. So here's my question. Has Joe Biden got all his marbles?
Well, I think if I think he does, and we all lose a little bit as we age, and Joe Biden is in the 70s. But when you get hit with a moment like that, when Americans die, 13 of our bravest die, and others are injured, and that countless Afghans died in that attack as well. I mean, over 100 Afghans died in that attack as well. Taking a moment to collect yourself when talking about that is not an unforgivable thing, because Donald Trump probably would is probably just laughing about it.
Well, he would take no responsibility whatsoever, Mark, I suspect.
And look at when those soldiers were killed in Nigeria. I think it came up, I don't know if it came up this program or another program I was listening to it, that Donald Trump was yelling at or made some nasty comment to the widow of one of those our soldiers that died in Nigeria in a terrorist attack. I mean, that, give me a break. I mean, Donald Trump is no longer president of the United States. And if all these Republicans are both so big, bold, and brave, I'd, load up the C-130 with those guys and say, here's your flak vest, here's your M16.
Yep.
We're dropping you off. We're escorting you outside of the airport, and you go to it, pals. That McCarthy, the whole bunch of them, every single one of them that's been flapping their gums about this. I'd send them over there.
I appreciate your call, Mark. Dominic, I'm going to ask you the same question. First and foremost, have you heard the criticism of Joe Biden, especially around this Afghanistan, let's call it a debacle for conversation?
Not specifically, but I know there's the criticism out there, and I did have it while we were listening to it, Curdy. I did have it on the monitor. I would say this: my impression of Joe Biden's speech yesterday, he was emotional. He was emotional, and if you heard something in his voice, I believe he was He was doing his best to play the role as president and maintain his composure with, talking about the soldiers and his sons and his son and all that stuff. So I think if you didn't view it, if you didn't watch the visual part of it, I can see maybe couldn't interpret maybe what the sounds that were coming out and the pauses and the breaks and the look that you get when you see somebody talking about a very emotional, very important, detrimental topic. So no, I have, and I've seen Joe give lots of speech, and yesterday was an emotional one, perhaps not the greatest, but I have no indication whatsoever that Joe Biden is any less in control of his faculties than he was, a year or two ago.
844-967-2789. Apparently a fan favorite. He's been invoked, so we'll throw him to the top of the list. CJ from Madison. Welcome back, CJ.
Hey,
what do
CJ.
you got today?
Hey there, guys. As I listened to the people that called and complained about what I said yesterday, they really never approached the facts. Kind of like you. The facts are that Trump had a conditional agreement with the Afghanistani government and
Taliban.
the Taliban. And who abandoned that?
Well, no one actually. It seems like Joe Biden's trying to honor the terms of that agreement with the Taliban, sir.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. The condition, the agreement, you can look up. And why don't you do that? Why don't you look up the agreement that the Trump administration had with the Afghanistan army and government?
And what am I looking for, CJ?
And you know
got
what?
like 30
Biden-
seconds, buddy.
What?
We're short on time. You got like 30 seconds. What am I looking
Well,
for?
you know what? Biden cut and run the Bagram Air Force Base in the middle of the night. He took everything that Trump agreed to, and it was a conditional agreement with the Taliban and the government. And
CJ, I wonder if you heard the article. Dominic read a big part of it from The Atlantic. It was a Pence advisor that said effectively that deal you referenced was Trump setting up Biden for a Benghazi-like failure. I think we saw it play out yesterday. Come back. More Devils.
And Republicans done something remarkable.
What has happened to us? What has happened to us?
I find it funny that the left talks about the fair share.
It isn't truth. Truth isn't truth.
If you love someone and you want to marry them, we're not going to penalize you.
I'm not an expert on the facts yet. I'm getting there.
It's really radical.
Morning, Mama. How you feeling?
Great, and I'm ready for you today.
I'm checking in on you. Morning meditation?
Check.
Dressed and ready to work out?
Check.
Check your blood pressure yet?
And check.
Boom. Great job, Mom. And about those gold earrings.
No, ma'am.
Now more than ever, it's important that we protect our hearts and the hearts of those we love. Monitor your blood pressure daily and help each other stay motivated. Rally your squad to take the online pledge at releasethepressure.org. Brought to you by the Release the Pressure Coalition and the Ad Council.
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take care of their kids, thanks to the expanded child tax credit passed by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Ron Johnson voted against these checks for Wisconsin families, despite voting for a 2017 tax break that put more money into the pockets of millionaires like himself. It's time to vote Ron Johnson out of office. MoveOn.org political action, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Hi, this is Daun from the Devil's Advocates, inviting you to join us on patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
the former president, the fact that he needed to drop a press release to call the horse a junkie.
The horse came from a broken home. I heard he was sold for like $1,000, born on a dirt patch. Then the pressure, the constant, the training over and over. I mean, really not getting to have a normal childhood and grow up and hang out with their other little horsey friends. Then one of those days, walked down the wrong alley and first one's free. And after that, it was all downhill from there.
Dom, that's why they call it horse.
Listen to Devil's Advocates weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m.
This is Chris Voss from the record company. You're listening to Devil Radio.
I don't know if you know the Devil's Advocates, but they are kind of a big deal.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are open, airing grievances on Fridays, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, I got a quick little article here at the Raw Story commentary. John Wright, I found it, as I mentioned, at the Raw Story. Is the media treating sane Biden worse than the insane Donald Trump? I think they are. The media is treating President Joe Biden worse than Donald Trump, even though the latter was responsible for, and here's a quote, the most dishonest, incompetent, and scandal-ridden Republican presidency imaginable. That were the words of New York Magazine columnist Jonathan Chait. And the reason Chait writes it is fairly simple. Citing the media's relentlessly critical coverage of Biden's Afghanistan withdrawal, Chait notes that this seems to be a regular feature of Democratic presidencies. He acknowledges that the mainstream media gave Trump harsh and even overtly hostile coverage, but he adds that the mainstream media only describes roughly half the media landscape. The other half of the media is right-wing messaging apparatus that makes no effort to follow traditional journalistic norms. If you want to understand the strange difficulty that Joe Biden's sane, competent administration has in yielding measurably higher approval than Trump's insane, incompetent presidency, the asymmetrical relationship between the two parties and their respective media environments is the most important place to start. Chait acknowledges that the mainstream media has some liberal bias, but he says a more important factor is the tendency to focus on the bad news with scary headlines, and he says the effects are clear. Most Democratic voters will experience Democratic administrations as a mixed bag. At best, Republican voters who mostly absorb the news through their party-aligned media will experience Republican administrations as an unmitigated triumph. The four-year experiment in Trump proved conclusively just how low the conservative media standards of truthfulness and competence are for a Republican president. If nothing else, Trump proved, conservative media will support anything its party leader does. And the end result, Chait says, is that Republican politicians don't have to hold themselves to any real standard.
Right.
Other than standing firm with their political base. I'll end it with this quote, Dom. Republicans have the freedom to dismiss negative revelations as liberal media, a luxury Democrats don't have. When you combine that with near impunity from damaging news stories with the Republican ability to win control of government with a minority of votes, you go a long ways towards explaining the incentive structure that has turned the GOP into the party it is today. They're not held accountable. In fact, they're uplifted by the Newsmax and the OANs and the right.
It doesn't matter what their behavior is, Trudy, so long as they own the libs and talk some trash, then they're their guy.
The more outrageous, the better. I'm just sort of outrageous, Tom. Occasionally hyperbolic. 844-967-2789. Wisco Paul, welcome back. What do you got?
Hey, Paul.
Hey, good afternoon, Devils. My radio is rigged. I'm not even that good at calling in. I'll be the first to admit it, but they won't even let me on to talk. So I've completely given up trying.
It was one too many reference to the Scott holes, Paul.
Well, yeah, it's a rigged gig over there. You can't call in if you've got anything on the other side to say. And that's what's great about your show. You let anybody talk, including me. So I do have a quick grievance. Oh, yeah, and the Republicans are deflecting mostly from January 6th because that was just a god-awful thing that I don't know how anybody be.
No,
can be
Paul,
forgiven.
the Republicans
for
would
that.
tell you the mainstream media is only covering COVID right now to deflect from Biden's failures in Afghanistan.
Okay, if they say so. Good God. Oh, Lord have mercy. Hey, maybe Trump is right about the media. I don't know. Anyway, I got a quick grievance, and that's against Voss and Priebus for spending just about a little south of $1 million to relitigate the election. So with that, you guys have a great weekend, and thanks for everything you do. Bye.
Thanks, Paul. You have a good weekend as well, my friend.
Squandering $700,000 for a forensic audit investigation post recount, just to appease some percentage of their
Got to make sure
of their base.
Nothing happened. Just got to make sure it was all good to go.
They seem like excellent fiduciaries of the public trust.
Yeah, not so much. 844-967-2789. Jeff from Madison, welcome. What do you got, Jeff?
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, gentlemen. I think that CJ might need to take a cue from some of your other more intelligent callers and fans and actually send you the links to information beforehand, before they call in and berate you. Kind of like I did, last night and this morning, regarding the guy who is saying how much military equipment that we've left behind, when in January we had a troop level of 2,500 troops. We apparently had all this equipment left over. Why was the previous guy not dealing with it and getting it out of the country? To me, it sounds like he was kind of setting it up so that Joe would have to eat the crap sandwich.
Well, let me have a couple of thoughts back for you, Jeff. First and foremost, if anything, you overshare, buddy.
Oh, come on, man. I appreciate it.
And above and beyond that, I think you're very astute for noting Dom's been here 3 Fridays in a row. But my advice to you, Jeff, is don't get used to it.
Thanks for the call, Jeff. Always appreciate it. And to CJ's point, I mean, yes, okay, so they close one of these air bases. If you're going to get out of the country, and when they close it, they hand it over to our Afghan allies, right? Well, what do you expect them to do? You can't leave a country if you don't leave a country. 844-96-party. Matt from Johnson's Creek. Welcome, Matt. What do you got today?
Hey, guys. Now that it's the season and it's more opportunity for Ron Johnson to be awful, my grievance is the fact that he is hiding from any sort of decent questioning. I miss when he used to come on your guys' show. Now he just hides on, trash right-wing radio. And I just wish there was a way that somebody would actually ask him a hard question as he's off there trying to Benghazi this last incident in Afghanistan. And he's going to try to Benghazi his way into Fort McCoy where they're storing their refugees. And it just sucks that he's too afraid to actually answer any hard questions.
Well, Matt, at this late hour, what difference does it make anyways? I appreciate you listening in Johnson's Creek. The rest of you, all of you, we appreciate you listening. We're not done yet. The 4 o'clock happy hour, it's going to roll right along. And Dominic, we got a fine guest joining us a little bit later, Maggie Daun. She's Milwaukee County Corporate Counsel. She is a friend of ours. And also, we're going to try something new in the 4 o'clock hour. We're hiring, or at least a number of fine sponsors are. We're going to do a help wanted, we're hiring section in the 420. So if you're looking for a new job, like everyone in this building, stick around. 420, we're hiring.
Hi, it's Rudy Giuliani, and I'm on Cameo.
Chad's Design Build is proud to sponsor the Summer of Love on Devil Radio. We are committed to our community to demand better for each and every person. Doing the right thing isn't necessarily easy or inexpensive, but when we take the time to listen and learn, we can build a better community. Thoughtful remodeling is a lot like building an effective, progressive coalition. It takes patience, intelligence, and love. Experience helps too. Thank you, Joe Biden, and thank you, Devil Radio. On behalf of Chad's Design Build, here's to the Summer of Love.
This is Rocker. I'm sitting on the patio at Salvatore's Tomato Pies on East Wash, and I'm enjoying a floral-forward Manhattan called As Long As There's Whiskey. It features Rocker Rye whiskey with a hint of blueberry, a touch of smoky Amaro, and it's finished off with St. Germain. It's a Rocker Rye Manhattan at Sal's Tomato Pies on Livingston. Ask for it by name, As Long As There's Whiskey. You can also enjoy Rocker Spirits at the Wisco and Tiny's Tap on Willie Street. You must be 21. Please drink responsibly.
You are listening to WTTN Columbus, W224EG Madison, always streaming at doubleradio927.com.
News. I'm Ed Donahue. A day after a devastating suicide bombing near the Kabul airport, the U.S. is pressing on with evacuation flights from Afghanistan. Here's the AP's Ben Thomas.
Crowds were back outside the airport Friday despite Thursday's bloodshed. The suicide bombing killed 13 U.S. service members and well over 100 Afghans. Two officials put the Afghan toll at 169, while the day stands as one of the most lethal for American forces since 2011. At the White House, Press Secretary Jen Psaki.
The national security team the president met with this morning advised the president and vice president that another terror attack in Kabul is likely.
As flights continue to depart, Ahmadullah Harawi tells the Associated Press he's determined to get out, saying an explosion may happen any second, but Afghans are facing lots of challenges. That's why he's overcome the fear and taking the risk to come to the airport. I'm Ben Thomas.
A review ordered by President Biden shows intelligence agencies remain divided on what set off the coronavirus pandemic, but believe China's leaders did not know about it before the start of the pandemic. 4 members of the intelligence community said with low confidence the virus was initially transmitted from an animal to a human. A 5th intelligence agency believes with moderate confidence the first human infection was linked to a lab. A judge in Florida is blocking Governor Ron DeSantis' order banning mask mandates. The state of Arizona has surpassed 1 million virus cases. Sunday is the day 16 years ago devastating Hurricane Katrina slammed into the Gulf Coast. Forecasters say this Sunday, Hurricane Ida could reach the same area as a Category 3 storm. New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell says they're ready.
I'm very confident in our ability to not only work together, but to respond to this threat.
The Dow finished up 242 points. This is AP News.
Hey y'all, this is your girl Cheryl Underwood, and I want to tell you something. My digestive system used to make me feel sluggish, but those days are over. Now I feel great. That's because I increased my fiber intake with the Metamucil 2-week challenge, and I'm still hooked. I just took Metamucil every day for 14 days, and it's really that easy. Metamucil traps and removes the waste that weighs you down, so you feel lighter and more energetic. Now I never want to go back to that heavy feeling. Are you ready for the Metamucil 2-week challenge? For a coupon and daily support, sign up at Metamucil.com today.
According to research, 82% of people will remember radio ads. So 82% of you listening will remember that this is an ad for ZipRecruiter. 82% of you will note that if you're hiring, ZipRecruiter finds qualified people for your job. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And 82% of you will remember that you can try ZipRecruiter for free, but you have to go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Yes, free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This is Crudy, and I recommend calling Dave and the team at Community PC to solve all your computing needs. What do I call Community PC? Because I don't want to learn new things about tech, because I don't want to call the manufacturer's customer service line and waste half the day of my life, because I don't want to ask my kid for help and have him respond, okay, boomer. Just call Community PC at 608-268-7178 for their patient service. Just let Community PC fix it. 608-268-7178. Call today.
Hey man, you still driving to Beloit for gummies and carts?
Yeah, man, it's a real drag.
Well, stop wasting gas, man, and ride your bike over to Williamson Street and stop into Quality CBD. They have gummies and carts.
Huh? They have gummies?
And all your favorites like Delta 8, Delta 10, and THCP.
Wow, man, where are they located?
Find Quality CBD at 1222 Williamson Street in Madison. For more information, visit qualitycbd.org. That's qualitycbd.org.
Hey folks, Stephanie Miller here. As an enlightened progressive, you know how important it is to do business in accordance with your politics. That's why Solidarity Realty is my favorite real estate firm in Madison. Solidarity Realty is a local independent realty company that lives their values. They provide outstanding expertise and protect your best interests while building community and promoting sustainability and diversity. Vive la resistance! Find them today at solidarityrealty.com. And don't forget, tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
Welcome to Family Feud on MagSync Radio. I'm your host, Rob Roberts. Rocker, we asked 100 Madisonians what is the favorite part of MagSync Radio.
Oh, that's easy, Rob. Live music performed in the Devil's Lair every Saturday night.
The survey says, number 2. So close, Rocker. Jimmy K for the win. What is your favorite part of MagSync Radio?
Local music.
That's right, Jimmy. Listen to local music every Saturday from 6 p.m. to midnight on Devil Radio 92.7 FM.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. The city of Madison will be lowering speed limits by increments of 5 miles an hour on main traffic throughways across the city in an effort to reduce traffic-related injuries and deaths. The affected streets include portions of South Park Street, Cottage Grove Road, Whitney Way, Mineral Point Road, and North Thompson Drive. Changes will begin in September and October, and the city will implement signage to notify motorists of the speed reductions. Performers in Dane County are asking for an exemption to the recently announced mask mandate, which applies to all individuals over the age of 2 when indoors in a public space. Event venues fear without an exemption, performers will be forced to cancel upcoming events. Despite the scarcity of open hospital beds across the state, Wisconsin hospitals are continuing with scheduled elective surgeries, a practice that was canceled in the early days of the pandemic. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. We are sliding into Dom's favorite 4 o'clock Friday happy hour. I know you get excited.
Happy hour to us all.
Did you get something cold and alcoholic in the glass, Dom?
Well, not so cold, but yeah, you know, I'm just prepping for the weekend.
Tequila at room temperature. Now, Dominic, there are a couple of intriguing headlines here.
Oh, yes.
Lead off this hour. Wisco Paul referenced this one. Top Assembly Republican Robin Vos is leaving to investigator to decide on subpoenas for his election investigation. And Republican lawmakers will use $680,000 in taxpayer funds.
Taxpayer funds?
There was some question who would be paying for this. Well, it's you and I and all our fair listeners.
I thought there was going to be some like outside money, maybe some, donation. No, taxpayer funds.
Republican lawmakers will use $680,000 in taxpayer funds to hire computer consultants and private investigators. I thought they hired a few partisan former cops, Tom. I guess they all quit to assist with their wide-ranging investigation of the 2020 election, according to Assembly Speaker Robin Vos. The Rochester Republican, in an interview this week, said he's leaving key decisions on the probe to lead investigator, former corrupted state Supreme Court Justice Michael Gableman. Corrupted, my characterization. Vos said he didn't plan to have a say in who Gableman hires. It would defer to the former justice whether lawmakers should, for the first time in decades, issue subpoenas to gather documents as part of their investigation. Vos doesn't plan to sign subpoenas. Another Republican tried to issue, but will approve what Gableman says he needs. Come on, Janelle Brandtjen. She's a Trump favorite.
She's a Trump superstar. She's been mentioned by Trump many times.
If we need to have subpoenas, I have no problem at all issuing those. If Justice Gableman asks for them, I will issue them without hesitation. So expect to be subpoenaed soon, Dom. Joe Biden narrowly defeated Donald Trump here in the state of Wisconsin. I don't know if people are aware of that. Certainly, Republicans don't seem to get it.
May want to repeat it one more time for the righties.
Here's what Voss said. He wants to make sure at the end of the day, what happened in Wisconsin was honest and above board. But there's a little bit more here. And then
what happened? Let me continue. Patrick Marley at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Allegations of corruption and criminal conduct. Without naming them, Voss accused clerks of corruption and suggested significant numbers of voters may have committed crimes, even though prosecutors and election officials have identified few instances of potential fraud. Clerks have referred a few dozen cases to district attorneys, nowhere near the level that could have changed the outcome of a statewide race that was decided by more than 20,000 votes. Rep. Mark Spreitzer, talking about him again, a Beloit Democrat who sits on the Assembly Elections Committee, said Republicans are engaged in a never-ending circus with their investigation. It really seems like Voss has finally caved to the far-right extremists, Spreitzer said. Exactly what the investigation will entail remains vague, so let's spend $680,000 on it. Voss said he and Gableman are finalizing the scope of the investigation, and he hopes it includes numerous threads, including a review of voting in nursing homes and an examination of whether some voters avoided the state's voter ID law by falsely claiming to be confined in their homes. Now, let me just address that real quick. What are you suggesting then, Speaker Voss, that those who took advantage of this loophole in the system, as some would call it, that they're not the ones that actually cast those votes? Or are you just looking for a procedural foul here?
Well, here's the answer, Dom. As he has said before, Voss said he wants to identify voting laws that should be changed and is not trying to reverse the results of the 2020 election. He said he wants Gableman to wrap up his work by the end of October so any legislation can be considered in November. And of course, Tony Evers
will veto it in December.
Yes, something like that. And then a special session veto override effort. And then when you fail again, Robin Voss, we will again mock you on the radio. But Dom, there's more legal headlines. Tony Evers asking a judge for what precisely?
Hang on, let me get to it. This one being reported at lawandcrime.com. Days after Kraken sanctions ruling, Wisconsin Governor Evers asked judge to force Trump to pay up personally. Personally, I tell you. The reporting, Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers asked a federal judge to force former President Donald Trump to personally pay fees for his audacious, I tell you, election subversion efforts a day after a brutal sanctions ruling imperiled the law licenses of 9 lawyers who attempted to overturn the results of the 2020 election in key states. A quote, more than 8 months ago, former President Trump filed his lawsuit in an audacious attempt to overrule the will of the voters by fiat. The governor's attorney, Jeffrey Mandel, he's been a guest on this show, wrote in a 17-page legal brief. He sought unprecedented relief, and his team pressed the case in a slapdash manner incommensurate with the gravity of the subject matter. Now, Trump recasts the litigation in a sepia tone, glossing over flaws with conclusory exculpations, and dismissing criticism as Monday morning quarterbacking. The Wisconsin Democrat casts this effort as revisionist history. Quote, Trump provides no legitimate defense of litigation conduct that went beyond mere procedural missteps, constituting a deliberate abuse of the judicial process and an attempt to overturn the votes of 3.3 million Wisconsinites, Evers' brief demanding sanctions states. Requesting attorney's fees, Evers pointed to the far heavier sanctions sought by the city of Detroit in a case by the so-called Kraken lawyers, whose efforts to overturn election results in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, and Wisconsin were rejected by every court. On Wednesday night, a federal judge in Michigan, we talked about this, referred each of the 9 attorneys associated with the Michigan arm of that litigation to face disciplinary proceedings in their home states for possible suspension or disbarment. I believe she also required some continuing education, perhaps some education on election law.
Did she direct Rudy perhaps to attend a few AA meetings?
I guess that's the gist of it. Wrangling over consequences that the failed litigation has continued for several months since then. Evers wants Trump to personally pay a price for it under the court's inherent authority. Nearly a month after losing re-election and having the results confirmed via recount, Trump prosecuted a lawsuit devoid of factual or legal support in an effort to subvert the voters' will, pushing bad faith election litigation to new lows. His actions warrant sanctions under the court's inherent authority, and his attorney's conduct merits fee shifting under 28 U.S.C. 1927. Pay for it personally, Trump. Excellent.
Do you think that'll come to fruition? I mean, I like the sentiment, Tony, and I hope it gets under the farmer's skin quite a bit. Because he never pays for anything, not out of pocket. Hell, he won't even pay contractors that have completed work on his own properties.
But at the same time, Governor Evers and Jeffrey Mandel, that's Law Forward. It's an organization that Mandel works with as well, Law Forward. At the same day that this comes out, we just got done talking about this Assembly Speaker Voss, allocating almost $700,000 to investigate something that they're going to figure the scope out about, but they're going to hire some cyber ninjas probably.
Yeah, but Fancy Brian tells me, according to math collected by who? Evan Goyke?
Evan Goyke requested the nonpartisan Legislative Fiscal Bureau to decide. This is on June 10th. This is June 10th of this year in the Journal Sentinel. And it states that $8.5 million have been spent on Republican-based lawsuits of taxpayer money since July of 2018. So what this really means is that the figure that was posted up earlier is less than 10% of the entire Republican budget for taxpayer money for lawsuits against their own people. So that's good.
OPM. So, Governor Evers, Crudy, what do you think? I love this move. I like the fact Mandel's doing it. I think it's justified. And you see what's happening now. The slow burn of the Kraken attorneys, it's not going to end well, I don't believe, for any of them.
Well, Dominic, I think Evers is just showing his true partisan colors. Or at least that's what they'll be crying and whining about on Righty Whitey Talk Radio tomorrow morning. I wonder how Dan O'Donnell factors into the whole investigation, because Dan O'Donnell, you might think, well, why would a Righty Whitey Talk Radio host factor in one iota whatsoever?
Why?
But of course, when the Assembly Elections Committee, the one that Janelle Branchin heads up, when they had their supposed public committee hearing with only Republican speakers permitted,
invited only, yes,
and the lead speaker was a Righty Whitey Talk Radio host who sure spun some conspiracies of electoral fraud. It was great in the telling. The evidence, the receipts thereof, well, that was scant evidence. You know what I mean?
So does that mean there is some evidence? And what exactly is that?
Well, can you imagine who they're going to hire? I mean, can you see consulting fees flowing to right-wing talk radio hosts? Maybe former disgraced assembly speakers in the state of Wisconsin.
Well, if you host a talk radio show, obviously that means you're an expert in just about everything. So, I certainly hope I get paid.
Well, can we approach the Democrats, and perhaps the Democrats can allocate, $700,000 and hire some counter investigators, guys like you and I, and then we can go on some sort of a fool's errand.
Oh, do we get subpoena power? I want subpoena power. Yeah,
that would be priceless.
If I don't get some subpoena power.
I would also like subpoena power. Folks, we got a fine guest coming soon. She is Milwaukee County Corporate Counsel Maggie Daun. I hope she's not charging by the hour, Dom. And also, we're hiring, or at least a number of our sponsors are. We're going to try something new. Got a few job listings. So if you're sick of your crappy job, stick around. We're hiring. The Help Wanted Half Minute is next. More Devil's Advocates.
This life is more than ordinary. Can I get you maybe even 3 of these? Coming from a space to teach you of the Pleiades. Can't stop the spirits when they need you. This life is more than just a read through.
Will there be a lawsuit? Yeah, probably.
I have never been more excited about anything that I have gotten the chance to work on.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
Hi, I'm Mike Crute, and I'm the owner of Devil Radio. I'm asking for your support now. Wisconsin has 81 conservative radio stations, blanketing the entire state with conspiracies of stolen elections, anti-vaxxer messaging, and it's all fueled by dark money. The left's best and only on-air voices in our state cannot be funded entirely by pizza parlors. The battle for the soul of Wisconsin is ongoing. Go to devilradio927.com and click the Support Devil Radio tab. Give now if you can. Thank you.
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take care of their kids, thanks to the expanded child tax credit passed by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Ron Johnson voted against these checks for Wisconsin families, despite voting for a 2017 tax break that put more money into the pockets of millionaires like himself. It's time to vote Ron Johnson out of office. MoveOn.org political action, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Do you want Wisconsin to suck? I don't. That's why you're listening to me now. I'm Hawk, owner of the Jade Monkey. Come to the Monkey and tell them you're there because the devil sent you. Then I can spend more money on ads and help Devil Radio keep Wisconsin from spiraling into post-apocalyptic Republican suckage. I mean, that's Iowa's job. Buy a round of the Jade Monkey and save Wisconsin one drink at a time.
Suck down drinks so we don't have to suck.
Okay.
Greetings, everyone. This is Nate Tim inviting you to my show, Lay of the Land, about life and politics in rural Wisconsin. Join me every Thursday at 7 p.m. on Devil Radio. This week, my special guest is John Peck. See you then.
Supplying your political fix on the back roads from Sauk City to Beaver Dam on WTTN 1580 AM, Devil Radio.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. Daun and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Your calls always welcome. 844-967-2789.
But first, Dominic, we're going to try something brand new. You know, we've been trying to secure some new advertisers around here, and that's always a pursuit we strive for. And a number of people have told us, well, sure, we'd advertise with you, but we can't staff up. We need to hire some people. So we're going to try something new. We're going to try to do what we call help wanted half minutes. And we've got some new ads running here in the Madison marketplace. And I'd like to introduce you to David. David's a local business owner. David, welcome to the Madison studios.
Thank you.
David.
Hey, David.
I always appreciate a small business owner. I think we share a certain entrepreneurship. And David, I wanted to talk to you. You've got a couple of different businesses and you're hiring right now.
Yes,
and I see you're wearing the shirt, Edible Arrangements. Edible Arrangements. What is that? Tell us what that is first and foremost.
So Edible Arrangement is we make fruit bouquet. So we do a lot of creative things with pineapples, strawberries, grapes, cantaloupe, all the different fruits. And we really make them look nice. And we basically, it's really for any occasion. So we have people that uses us for birthdays, different anniversary, you know, maybe it's something for sympathy.
And no one ever minds getting a fresh fruit arrangement. I mean, it's a welcome gift or acknowledgement. And my understanding is you're hiring for a food expert. So what's a food expert? Is that what is that?
So a fruit expert is someone that really helps us out at the store. Someone that helps us craft the fruits, the pineapple, the strawberries, and make them really look nice. Someone that helps our customers out because we do have customers that call the store or customers that come in for pickup. And so someone that will help us in that area is really and really it's, you know, you get to learn a new thing. You get to learn a new skill because we have a lot of creative things that we do with some of the fruits. So someone that helps us in that regard is what we're looking for.
And primarily, this person's going to work at the facility that's located over on University Avenue here in Madison.
That's right.
My understanding, the position will pay about $13 to $15 per hour. And at Edible Arrangements, you also offer paid time off once someone's on the payroll and obviously, part of the regular team. And you're hiring immediately, is my understanding.
Yes, we're hiring immediately. We need the help. We have a lot of exciting things happening here in the Madison area. And so, we want people to give us a call. And we would love to speak to as many people that we can.
Well, again, the name of that store is Edible Arrangements. Again, they're hiring right now, so give them a call. That phone number is 608-441-3535. If you didn't get the number, Google Edible Arrangements. But David, that's not even the only position you're hiring for. You've got another business. It's not exactly the same sort of business, but it's called Always Best Care of Madison. And what sort of service or goods what do you do through that business, sir?
So Always Best Care Madison is a company whereby we help people as caregivers. So we basically offer a supportive home care service. So people that need help with groceries, or they need help with cleaning around the house, or maybe run an errand, or just any help in the house that doesn't require anything medical is the type of service that we provide there. Not only do we provide service for in-home care service, we also provide service for assisted living placement. So people that, if for whatever reason they need to go to a facility, because what we're all about is higher quality of life. So we want people that as they get up in that age, that they can still maintain and live the quality of life that they truly deserve. And that's why we are there for.
And David, it's also important to get a high quality of applicant for this job at Always Best Care of Madison, because your staff are going into people's homes.
Correct.
So there will be a requirement, a background check for anyone applying for that position, as I understand it.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So background check is one thing that we require. We want someone, someone passionate. So there's a lot of people out there that are very, very passionate about caring for others. So we want that type of people. We also want, there's really not a specific type of experience that's needed, other than just general. We're not specialized, is what I'm trying to say. And so, if you have that desire, we have a very good training program that can train someone on what to do and how to go about it. So as long as the person has the desire and the passion, and they pass our background check, obviously, we're very willing to have that discussion.
Well, you've eliminated me from contention, but that position, the position with Always Best Care of Madison, will pay $13 to $16 per hour, depending upon experience. My understanding, David, that offers paid time off as well. And that company does have eligibility for a 401k. And those that would like to apply for that position should call Always Best Care of Madison at 608-315-2378. Again, 608-315-2378. I would point out, David, we've got your fine listings on our website at Devil Radio 92.7. We've got a help wanted tab, and it's not us hiring, but it's fine business owners like yourself. David, we appreciate you giving us an opportunity to help you generate some applications and hopefully some good workers at both Edible Arrangements and Always Best Care of Madison. David, good luck with the hiring, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Got more fine guests, more of your phone calls coming as well. The phone number, 844-967-2789. I'm not hiring, not right now. And we got Maggie Daun. She is Milwaukee County Corporate Counsel. She's a friend of ours. Hell, I can't even get her to do a regular radio show. Just have to talk her into coming on our show once in a while. Again, help wanted half minutes. Listen for the ads. Consider reaching out, especially if you don't like your crappy job. Call David at Always Best Care of Madison or Edible Arrangements. That's the one I find intriguing because I like to think I'm a food expert. More Devil's Advocates. We'll be right back. Thank you, David.
So folks, let's polka tonight and get to work tomorrow.
I am once again asking you to listen to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM. I believe they have the moral fiber to create a progressive movement in Wisconsin and indeed in America.
Edible Arrangements in Madison is now hiring. Edible Arrangements is looking to hire a food expert for their 2850 University Ave location. The food expert will create the edible arrangements of fresh fruit for delivery. The food expert will have occasional customer interaction in store. This position pays $13 to $15 an hour with paid time off. Apply today or find out more by calling Edible Arrangements at 608-441-3535. Always Best Care of Madison is now hiring. They're seeking applicants to become home health care providers to service their clients across Dane County. This position involves providing care at their clients' homes and will require a background check. The position pays $13 to $16 per hour, depending on experience, and offers paid time off and eligibility for company 401k. To learn more or apply today, call 608-315-2378.
Let's stand. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. Heightened security a day after a suicide bombing killed 13 U.S. service members and 169 Afghans at an airport gate in Kabul.
The national security team the president met with this morning advised the president and vice president that another terror attack in Kabul is likely.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki. More than 100,000 people have evacuated through the Kabul airport. Thousands more still trying to leave before Tuesday's deadline. Hurricane Ida could be a Category 3 or even 4 hurricane. Top sustained winds up to 120 miles per hour when it comes ashore in Louisiana Sunday. Storm surge could top 11 feet. University of Miami hurricane researcher Brian McNulty says Ida will also be a rainmaker.
The New Orleans area could see maybe around a foot of rain.
Louisiana is under a state of emergency. New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell ordering the evacuation of everyone living outside the levee system. I'm Tim McGuire.
Hey, y'all, this is your girl, Cheryl Underwood, and I want to tell you something. My digestive system used to make me feel sluggish, but those days are over. Now I feel great. That's because I increased my fiber intake with the Metamucil 2-week challenge, and I'm still hooked. I just took Metamucil every day for 14 days, and it's really that easy. Metamucil traps and removes the waste that weighs you down, so you feel lighter and more energetic. Now I never want to go back to that heavy feeling. Are you ready for the Metamucil 2-week challenge? For a coupon and daily support, sign up at Metamucil.com today.
According to research, 82% of people remember radio ads. So 82% of you listening will remember that this is an ad for ZipRecruiter. 82% of you will note that if you're hiring, ZipRecruiter finds qualified people for your job. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And 82% of you will remember that you can try ZipRecruiter for free, but you have to go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Yes, free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. On Thursday, the Wisconsin Department of Health Services reported more than 2,000 new cases of COVID-19 in the state for the second time in the past 3 days. Before this week, Wisconsin had not reported more than 2,000 daily cases since the middle of January, when only frontline medical workers and the highest risk individuals were eligible to receive a COVID-19 vaccine. According to DHS data, 88% of hospital beds in Wisconsin are currently occupied, and more than 92% of intensive care unit beds are currently occupied. Forecast of thunderstorms early in the day with the potential for heavy rain and gusting winds. 80% chance for rain with a projected 1 to 2 inches of rainfall today and a high of 85 degrees. Partly cloudy skies expected tonight with a stray storm possible, overnight low of 73 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Bring it? Oh, it's already been brought in. Dom and Cruz on the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show, the 4 o'clock happy hour. It rolls on. Dominic, before I introduce our newest guest and find one she will be, I want to thank David from Always Best Care of Madison. Also, Edible Arrangements. Both of those companies are hiring. I've got one other to throw out there. This is a new process. I'm trying to get my you-know-what together. But Atlantis Valley Foods, located in Cottage Grove, Wisconsin, They're also hiring. They're looking for an experienced route driver Monday through Friday to deliver and stock fresh food, snacks, and beverages. I like all those things at their micro markets across southern Wisconsin. The position offers health insurance, 401k, paid time off, and pays between $700 and $800 per week based on experience. Atlantis Valley is also seeking full-time warehouse and part-time order picking positions. A great opportunity to join their friendly, hardworking team, best in the business, fresh food service team. Again, it's atlantisvalley.com. And if you'd like to contact someone regarding that position, ask for Brian or email your resume at sales@Atlantis Valley, like Atlantis, the lost city, atlantisvalley.com. And now that we've got the hiring out of the way, we welcome back a fine friend. She used to do a show around here. She is Maggie Daun, Milwaukee County Corporate Counsel. Most importantly, she's a friend of ours. Maggie, always love when you come around. Thank you so much.
Hey, Maggie.
Hey, guys. Great to be back with you.
Thank you.
You look very respectable today. Not that you don't always, but
Maggie, you look fantastic. But I do note you got a little darker hair today.
Yeah,
I do. Are you? So let me just get this straight. On the radio, you guys both pointed out that I typically don't look respectable. A and
No.
B that my roots have grown out. I mean, I love it. It's great.
I like the dark hair. You wear it well.
I think you look spectacular, especially on the radio, just like me. I'm always super sexy on the radio, Maggie.
We've all got that face for radio, that's for sure.
Well, we miss you around here, Maggie, but we always love when you come around, and let's talk a little politics. What do you think of Tony Evers through the courts today seeking that Donald Trump personally pay the lawsuits, the unmeritorious lawsuits? Obviously, we've had lawsuits challenging the electoral results in Wisconsin. Does Tony have any chance that the litigant that's being challenged in this case, I guess that'd be Trump's not going to have to pay these fees, is he?
No, it's the difference between a campaign and the committees that support them, and the actual plaintiffs that brought the lawsuits. And the interesting point here is that Donald Trump himself was never actually a plaintiff. Now, as we've all said, he may look like an idiot, but he's not. And this is yet another example of how he lets other people do his dirty work. And then when the dirty work comes splashing back, he somehow manages to avoid that. And this is another one of those.
Careful in the splash zone.
Exactly. He's got like Reagan was the Teflon guy, right? He's got the permanent rain jacket on. He's in the splash zone, but none of it hits him. I don't know how he does it. It's pretty impressive.
Maggie Daun, I also see that the Republicans that control the legislative levers of power in the state of Wisconsin have okayed about $680,000 in taxpayer money to fund a post-election cyber forensic ninja audit of some sort here in the state of Wisconsin. This is to the point of embarrassment, and it's all being funded with taxpayer money. Want to get your opinion?
You could probably fill in my opinion for me, but we're on radio and there's the FCC. So insert series of expletives here. To me, this is one of the most absurd abuses of power. It's anti-democratic. It's supporting an authoritarian. It's fealty to an individual, not a democratic process. And oh, by the way, we've already had an audit, as I've said on your show before. That is what a recount is. It is an audit with rules and observers from both parties and courts that then review the process of the recount, which we should just start calling an audit, okay? So now you want to audit the audit, but without any rules, sort of in cloak and dagger, and dump nearly $750,000 of taxpayer money on something that's not going to find anything that hasn't already been sufficiently investigated anyways. Let's not forget, and let's keep in mind that those original recounts in Daun and Milwaukee County already cost our taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars. So you really have to think of this as cumulative cost to taxpayers, both taxpayers that vote Republican and Democratic. to pursue the big lie, the hoax of the century, that there was somehow widespread irregularities in our election that would swing this thing to the great orange man. Just ain't going to happen. Just light those dollars on fire. Let's not, help with education or build roads or help with mental health or any of those things. Let's just, light a bunch of hundreds on fire so that Robin Voss can peacock his way into another election.
Well, it's a small price to pay with your taxpayer dollars.
It's easy when it's not your money. Isn't that funny? It's just, oh, sure, we'll spend that. Unbelievably irresponsible, immoral, anti-democratic, for shame.
Our pal Maggie Daun joining us via the Zoom. Well, I guess this kind of tails into what happened yesterday. Detroit U.S. District Judge Linda Parker, she lit up the Kraken team. Apparently, they have to pay legal fees, undergo legal education, and in specifically election law. Why would they need to do that? And also be referred for possible investigation and perhaps disbarment. Maggie Daun, this is just one state, one judge, but damn, how do you think this is going to go?
Oh, I love it. Like Linda, I don't know. Can somebody quickly make Linda Parker t-shirts? Because I want one. She's my new hero. This doesn't, a judicial rebuke of this sort does not happen. I'll just say that. A judicial rebuke of this sort does not happen. Full stop. It is, I have never heard in my entire career of any judge ever referring lawyers for actually writing it for possible suspension or disbarment. It happened. Now that happens every once in a while, but it's extraordinarily rare. I've never seen it in my practice. But it's not just that. It's the requirement of education and the imposition of attorney's fees and additional costs and fines on those lawyers and the parties that brought those suit. The language here is absolutely stunning. In this decision, U.S. District Judge Linda Parker just basically went after these lawyers. She accused Trump's attorneys of, quote, undermining the people's faith in our democracy. This lawsuit represented a historic and profound abuse of the judicial process. This was an 110-page ruling. It is one thing to take on the charge of vindicating rights associated with an allegedly fraudulent election. It is another to take on the charge of deceiving a federal court and the American people into believing that their rights were infringed without regard to whether any laws or rights were in fact violated. That is what happened here. She goes on, this case was never about fraud. It was about undermining the people's faith in our democracy and debasing the judicial process to do so. I'm going to continue because the language is just so extraordinary. While there are many arenas, including print, television, social media, where protestations, conjecture, and speculation may be advanced, such expressions are neither permitted nor welcomed in a court of law. And while we as a country pride ourselves on the freedoms embodied within the First Amendment, it is well established that an attorney's freedom of speech is circumscribed upon entering the courtroom. This is largely referred to as the duty of candor to the court. We cannot misrepresent the law and we cannot lie about facts. And that is precisely what Donald Trump's attorneys did. They lied about the law, they lied about the facts, and the whole lot of them, as I've been talking with you guys over these many months, should be disbarred and never permitted to set foot in a U.S. courtroom again. For shame.
Now, Maggie, this was a Michigan court. What happens could this happen in every other state that they filed these kinds of lawsuits in?
Yes, indeed. In fact, yesterday, Milwaukee County filed for attorney's fees in our own Trump lawsuits that we had to defend. And we didn't use any kind of inflammatory language. We just simply pointed out that this was all fantasy and that there was no reasonable basis upon which any of these lawyers could ever have reasonably relied, no facts, no law, certainly not to bring the claims that they did, but more insidiously to assert the remedies that they did, which were to throw out millions and millions of votes and effectively remand the election to the state legislature. I'm sorry, I missed the part in the Constitution that just says, forget all those voters. Let's just let the electeds pick the president. That is not what we do here. So really quite extraordinary. And we'll be seeing a decision that, at least in the Wisconsin case, would be issued by a Trump-appointed district court judge. So keep your eye on this space. It certainly will be interesting to see what happens.
It is extraordinary. Maggie, what kind of dollar amount is Milwaukee County seeking?
It is in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. We actually were very lean and mean as to the amount of time that we incurred. We did use some outside counsel. So I think by my last count, it was just a hair under $200,000. But, in a place like Milwaukee County, where we face structural deficits of approximately $30 million every year, while our costs to continue doing business at the same level that we've had before continue to go up, while our shared revenues coming back to us from the state go down, even though Milwaukee County and the city are by far the largest tax contributor to the state's general fund, we're in a pickle. Every penny counts. So I am very hopeful that we will get reimbursed for those hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And Maggie, as you describe what these attorneys have done, it's so much worse than just filing a bad lawsuit. If whether or not their E&O insurance will cover it, they all get guilty, they declare bankruptcy, they don't have the money to pay it. Any chance that they could go to jail for anything that they did? I mean, this is some egregious stuff. I mean, really, and you see the assembly speaker here in Wisconsin, they're still kind of going, this storyline still exists, and they were a big part of laying down the foundation for this big lie storyline, and that's why they did it. Any chance they could go to jail for anything like that?
I'll say little to none. It would be certainly a novel legal theory that would probably have to go somewhere along the lines of this, that they engaged in a knowing and intentional fraud designed to effectively misappropriate taxpayer dollars into a distractionary piece of litigation, which they knew at all times was based on nothing in fact or law. Very hard to prove that, because you have to prove intent, and proving intent means actually getting inside of someone's head to do so. Do I think it might be impossible? No, but it certainly would be a novel legal theory. This is one of those moments where, and we've often talked about this, guys, where you really would love to see the Democratic Party go on the offensive. I say that, and yet in the next breath, I will say this. It's like a screaming toddler. Do you keep giving it candy to make it shut up? In other words, if we give it more attention, we continue to litigate these sorts of nonsense claims, does that actually sort of prolong the big lie, right? To me, one of the most draconian things that can happen to a lawyer is disbarment. And if the courts take seriously that duty of candor, they should be looking seriously at disbarring all of these attorneys, because that hits them where their pocketbook is. And we've seen Giuliani go down, Michael Cohen, Roy Cohen.
Oh no, Maggie's internet went down. We'll bring her back during
on the
break.
receive. Yep. Sorry, guys.
Well, there's always Cameo, but the last time I was in a court of law and I was the defendant in this case, and the attorney, my fine, capable attorney, Jeff Scott Olson, said, if we're talking about motive and conduct, my client's guilty, guilty, guilty. And yet somehow I prevailed on the day.
I love it.
You got to have a good lawyer, and we got to find one right here with us on the Devil's Advocate. She's Maggie Daun. Come back for this big show.
Release the Kraken. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
The Kraken! You're an idiot!
Hi, it's Rudy Giuliani, and I'm on Cameo.
Atlanta's Valley Foods, located in Cottage Grove, is currently looking for experienced road drivers, Monday through Friday, to deliver and stock fresh food and beverages in our micro markets across southern Wisconsin. This position offers health insurance, 401k, and paid time off. Pay ranges from $700 to $800 per week based on experience. Stop in and fill out an application or submit a resume at sales@atlantisvalley.com. Hi, I'm Mike Crute, and I'm the owner of Devil Radio. I'm asking for your support now. Wisconsin has 81 conservative radio stations, blanketing the entire state with conspiracies of stolen elections, anti-vaxxer messaging, and it's all fueled by dark money. The left's best and only on-air voices in our state cannot be funded entirely by pizza parlors. The battle for the soul of Wisconsin is ongoing. Go to devilradio927.com and click the Support Devil Radio tab. Give now if you can. Thank you.
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take care of their kids, thanks to the expanded child tax credit passed by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Ron Johnson voted against these checks for Wisconsin families, despite voting for a 2017 tax break that put more money into the pockets of millionaires like himself. It's time to vote Ron Johnson out of office. MoveOn.org political action, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertisement. Poll.moveon.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
I've already guaranteed this will be my last term. I'm doing this because I want to solve these problems.
Was it problem solving when you blocked COVID relief or when you downplayed the insurrection?
I want to do it because I'm so concerned about the direction of this country. I've got something to offer.
Like becoming a hydroxychloroquine salesman?
I'll go home with a smile on my face, realizing I'd left it all on the field.
You must be exhausted.
I don't feel like my time here has been particularly successful.
Go home.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
You know what? I'll tell you something. There's nothing better than a hot sausage, couple 2-3 cold beers, and Devil Radio in a box.
The Devil's Advocates. They refuse to do math on the radio.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Maggie, Daun, our fine guest, sticking around for the last segment. We certainly appreciate it. Maggie, a big week. Want to get your take. Benny Thompson, the chairman of the January 6th Commission, not only has reached out to, phone companies, but today, social media platforms asking for information. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and even Parler, Google, Reddit, Snapchat,
What about
TikTok.
Gitter?
No Gitter yet, but 4chan and Gab are included, asked to supply information. Now, these are requests, to my understanding, so far, Maggie, not subpoenas. Why is that? Why even go through the rigmarole? Just force it.
Good question. I think they realize that as a political point, social media companies right now are under an incredible amount of pressure for their basically foundational, central, and prime role in the promotion of complete misinformation, as well as the role that they played in helping to incite this illegal insurrection. And so they're giving them the opportunity to come voluntarily forward with the information that they seek. If I'm the CEO of a social media company, I'm complying. But then again, I haven't been inspired as of late by Mark Zuckerberg's attempt to become a more transparent and accountable social media platform. So they'll let them take this shot at it, but I would presume that you're going to see subpoenas flying in short order.
Maggie, I wanted to ask you about the U.S. Supreme Court ruling earlier today, the Biden moratorium on evictions due to the COVID-19 pandemic, a 6-3 ruling. I believe it was along partisan lines. What do you think of the ruling?
Yeah, I haven't read it yet. I'll just say this, extremely disappointing. There are arguments about freedom of contract and interruption of contract and those kinds.
Uh-oh. Someone interrupted.
When there are extreme threats to, extreme threats to public health and safety. And the eviction results of the COVID-19 epidemic were predictable and are persistent right now. So again, I think this is one of those times where the ivory tower fails to serve regular Americans well. And we should take heed of who voted which way in this very important case. And it was exactly down party lines. I looked at it close enough to see that fact.
Maggie, do you feel like this was something of a partisan ploy by the Biden administration in that I don't know if they thought this executive order was even constitutional, but what their intent was to create time for funding that was already allocated to the states to go to the actual renters and perhaps landlords that needed it. Was this just a time-killing effort, to your opinion?
Whether it was or wasn't, it certainly had some effectiveness because it delayed evictions. And so when you look, if you are a policymaker, an elected official who actually cares about having a positive impact, this clearly did. It prevented some people from getting, not some, thousands and thousands of families from getting evicted. And so it served its purpose. So whether you call that sort of jaded political maneuvering or good practical policymaking, it worked.
Talking about bad policymaking, turning our attention to Florida and Ron DeSantis. The governor down there has been on the wrong side of science and humanity, quite frankly, in his reaction and handling of COVID. Over 900 deaths in Florida yesterday from COVID. And the governor there is seeking to ban schools from installing mask mandates. A Florida district court judge overruled him today. Of course, there'll be an appeal probably. But what's your opinion? Mask mandates and governors that would try to forebode them.
Dummies. If Biden can't institute an eviction moratorium, why can DeSantis institute a mask moratorium? Or you know what I'm saying? It's sort of like, again, I will return to the idea that there are executive powers that exist and inure only when there are imminent threats to public health and safety. And that widens the sphere of executive power, whether you're talking about at a state, local, or federal level. To take an affirmative step, which is against all Republican talking points, to rob school districts of local control, which is always what Republicans want to tout, and try to say, well, listen, let's be sure that this population of children under the age of 12 who are not yet vaccine eligible, who will clearly pass the Delta variant around like hotcakes, like Garbage Patch Kid cards. I'm dating myself, kid of the 80s and 70s, right? Like baseball trading cards, like I don't Pokemon today. I don't know what it is. These people that cannot be vaccinated, you can't wear masks, is not only like the stupidest thing I've ever heard, it borders on, again, as Mike said, anti-humanity, immoral, and just downright stupid. And now at least a federal judge has told him so.
Maggie, I don't know if you'd seen, but there is a recall effort underway in Wisconsin at the Mequon-Thiensville School District. 4 school board members have effectively will be brought to recall election. And I've been paying attention, and they don't tell us why they want these school board members out. But my understanding is it's because they support mask mandates.
So sad, and it's happening across the country. You see video clips of, there was a guy that gave the Nazi salute at a school board meeting when it adopted mask mandates. School boards are supposed to be apolitical and nonpartisan. The partisanships that you usually see on school boards is sort of the teachers unions and others, right? But to want to remove school board members who take reasonable, least invasive measures to protect the health, safety, and welfare, not just of children, but those that work in the schools, is again an exercise in the most acute display of idiocy that I've seen in a while. But hey, it's Mequon. What do you expect?
Maggie, Daun, Milwaukee County Corporate Counsel, our fine guest for about another 90 seconds or so. Well, I mean, I guess I'd rather have them, arguing at the school board meetings than trying to, kidnap or plan to kidnap a governor. A guy's been convicted in Michigan, getting 6 years for his role. And he's the one who's working with the prosecutors, rolling over on his pals. Maggie, what are your thoughts?
Well, we are on indeed a slippery slope. It may be the Nazi salute at one school board meeting and cut to the videos of school board members leaving their meetings getting physically threatened. We know who you are and we know where you live. America has lost its collective mind, or at least the half that believes in Trump has lost its damn mind. It's a really sad state of affairs that people exercising their good faith best judgment now have to worry about their lives being put on the line. So sad.
Maggie, Daun, when will you announce your campaign for mayor of Milwaukee?
I just have to say this.
Say it quick.
It's not a comment on Barrett specifically, but boy, nothing like mediocre white men failing up.
Thank you, Maggie Daun. Stick around. Earl's next.
I don't care what drug will work. Try a bunch of them.
Hi, I'm Mike Crute, and I'm the owner of Double Radio.